As your new home for the San Francisco 49ers, keep it locked here all summer long as we preview the quest for 6.
San Francisco!
Last night in the NBA playoffs, Denver Nuggets able to eclipse the Suns in a supernova blowout, 125-100. Denver punches their ticket to the Western Conference Finals and await the victor of the Dubs-Lakers series. Speaking of those two California foes back in the crypt tonight, LeBron James and company still hold the 3-2 series lead. Tip-off at 7. And Thursday afternoon, Boston Celtics able to clap back in Philly with a humble 95-86 victory.
And it will come down to 48 minutes in Boston. It's over.
Game 7 on Sunday with a to-be-determined tip-off. Otherwise, in the association, Knicks lacing up their Tims as they touch down in Miami for Game 6. The Heat lead that series 3-2 with tip-off slated for 4:30.
Thank God it's Friday.
I'm Simone. Those are your Sactown Sports headlines. Welcome in to Cattles and Ramie.
Not the boring, generic milquetoast stuff coming from the network in Connecticut.
I describe him as the best, obviously.
Cattles.
He throws it out there. He speaks his mind. That's cool.
And Ramie.
He's supposed to make people laugh. He's just an expert at it.
Cattles and Ramie. Live and local in the afternoon.
Sactown Sports.
I feel like I'm playing a dangerous game with this microphone today.
Why is that?
It's a little flippity-floppity-floppity-flippity.
Why don't you just let it hang underneath?
The old dangle job, huh?
Yes. That's what I did. That's what I did.
I don't know if I want to let it
And
dangle.
also, then it's not blocking your face for the YouTube audience at youtube.com/Sactown Sports. See? You can point at them like this, like I'm doing right now. Microphone's not blocking it. Give them the old thumbs up.
Huh. Take it under advisement. We'll see.
Set design matters.
It does.
It does.
It does. So I just want to warn you today. Okay.
Warn me?
Simone's gonna get a little bit of the attitude later on.
Everybody's favorite, Simone.
She was giving me the business before the show.
Careful.
She's gonna catch some.
Careful.
She's gonna
the
catch
whole
some today.
Sacktown sports fandom after you.
I know.
Oh my God, he's going to lose it.
Googled.
She's the most searched.
Simone.
The most searched person on the station.
Don't come for me, Nick, unless I send for you.
Wow.
Simone, have you Googled me lately, Rickford?
Well, have you?
No. All right, so we got a lot to get to. Let's start with some football. We start with the Kings pretty much every day in, day out, Monday through Friday. But let's start with the 49ers today as the NFL released their schedules last night, as we know. And Ramie and I, we've had a night to sleep on it. We've looked at the Niners schedule, the good, the bad, the record we think they're going to have. Let's start, Ramie, with the good about this Niners schedule.
There is, to me, looking at this schedule, Nick, I thought more bad than good once I did the old deep dive. You know what I mean? And you start really looking at it. Now, I don't even know what this means, but this morning on Get Up, I'm just going to throw this out there. They said that the 49ers have, let me just make sure I'm reading this right, the worst net rest differential. I don't know what that is.
I was going to say, what is that?
That's a new thing to me. I think they didn't explain it. They just said it. They said they have the worst net rest differential. To me, what that probably means is the most days of rest before leading up to a game. You know what I mean? So they have more short weeks than their opponents, I think is what that means. 4 short weeks to be exact. They have the second most travel miles in the entire NFL, almost 30,000 miles they'll fly this season over the course of the 18 weeks.
That's a lot.
6 Eastern time zone games.
Woo!
4 of those at 10 a.m. Pacific time.
Wait, this is the good? I thought we were going with the good.
No, this is the bad. This is the bad.
I asked about the good. You gave me the
sorry.
bad.
My
Okay,
bad. I
perfect.
I
That's
misheard
fine.
you. I started going through the notes.
Your mind is already in Vegas.
I'm in Vegas right now.
Great.
Let's start with the bad since we're here anyways. I only have one more bad
At least
thing.
the mic was on.
And the schedule doesn't allow for any of their yearly opportunities for East Coast getaways, where they'll just stay for a week. So there are some hurdles to clear for the 49ers in this schedule. I don't think they were dealt the best hand when you look at this schedule.
Couple things that stand out to me about the bad. Yes, the second most miles in the NFL this year.
I got carried away. I looked at the notes and I got carried away.
Second most miles
also
this
really
year.
want to say net rest differential.
Yeah, I could tell.
I really wanted to get that in.
You're a big fan of that. Second most miles, as you mentioned, just they got to travel a ton. Multiple Thursday night football games. I hate that. I'm not a big fan of Thursday Night Football to begin with. Look, I like watching it. I don't like the idea of it. If I'm an NFL player or a coach, I hate it. It's all about the money. They've got to, they've got to play 2 Thursday Night Football games, which I am not a fan of. Just not a fan of that. And then when you look at weeks 12 through 14, that's the toughest stretch to me. 12 through 14, you play at Seattle. Seattle, I think, is going to be better than they were last year. I think Seattle's actually creeping up towards you. They're getting closer and closer. They've made a couple of additions that I think are going to be outstanding for them on both sides of the football. You've got to play at Seattle. Then you have to go to Philly. So you play at the Seahawks, tough game, tough place to play. Then you go across the country and play the defending NFC champions in Philadelphia. And then you have to fly back and play Seattle in your own place. That 3-game stretch is very, very difficult. That, to me, is some of the bad. Now, let's get to some of the good. You have a legit shot, Ramie, to start this season at 4-0. You have a chance to go 4-0 to start the season and feel really good about yourself. You start at Pittsburgh. Kenny Pickett, good rookie season. I don't know if he's going to take that big, massive step that the Steelers are hoping he will. Steelers are more than beatable. Not easy at Pittsburgh, but they are a beatable team. If you are going to be as good as we think you're going to be, you should win that game at Pittsburgh. You should beat the Steelers. Then you play at the Rams. The Rams, they're pretty much in the middle of a rebuild. I don't know what Matthew Stafford has left, if anything. There were the Aaron Donald retirement rumors going on during the offseason. Sean McVay supposedly had one foot out, and they're trying to rebuild this thing with the Rams, and you get to go to L.A. week 2. That's a win to me. You should win that game. Mm-hmm. Then you have back-to-back home games against 2 teams you should beat. You play against Daniel Jones and the Giants. And look, Brian Daboll did a fantastic job with that team a year ago. Daniel Jones is not very good. There's a
ceiling there with Daniel Jones.
Absolutely. Yeah. And your defense is terrific. Should be a top 3 defense in the league this year. You should easily beat quarterbacks like Daniel Jones.
Agreed.
And then you've got Arizona, Kyler Murray coming back from his ACL. That team is in shambles right now. DeAndre Hopkins, is he going to be there by the time that game happens? So at Pittsburgh, at the Rams, then 2 home games back-to-back against the Giants and the Cardinals. You have a really, really good shot here to go 4-0.
Yeah, for my good, I had chance to start strong and finish strong. I had the same thoughts you did, Nick, when I was looking at the early schedule. And we're not going to do the, week by week, win-loss.
No.
But I will tell you, I had them starting 5-1 and finishing 5-0. You talked about the front end of the schedule, so I'll jump to the back end of the schedule. And by the way, you said weeks 12 through 14 as a rough stretch of schedule. I see 8 through 14 as a really tough stretch of schedule. When you consider the Bengals, the Jaguars, who a lot of people expect to be better, I agree with you about the Seahawks and the Eagles, all included in that little stretch there. But then weeks 14 through 18, you have the Seahawks at home, and they're a good team, but I think you should be able to beat them at your home stadium. And then Cardinals, Ravens, Commanders, Rams.
Yeah,
those are 4 very winnable games.
That's a soft landing.
And we know that this has been a second half team in recent history. You have a chance to start off real strong and to finish real strong. That middle chunk of schedule, like I said, weeks 8 through 14, that's the toughest. That's where it's going to get really tough. Not just the opponents, but also the travel back and forth. That's where a lot of those 30,000 miles that they're going to travel this season are racked up.
I mean, really, when you look at it, the beginning of the season, at Pitt, at the Rams, Giants, Arizona at home. If you take care of business, you go 4-0 there. Final 4 games, as you mentioned, at Arizona versus Baltimore, at Washington versus the Rams. Now, it's a little difficult because you're going from West Coast, right, to East Coast and back to the West Coast. But if you take care of business, that's 8-0. If you win those games at the beginning and at the end, you win the bookends. You win the bookend months. You're 8-0 already.
Yeah, there's
all you need really is 3 or 4 wins, and you're in the playoffs at that point.
Yep.
The other thing I like about the schedule is a week 9 bye. It's smack dab in the middle of the season. If you start talking week 11, 12, 13, 14, now when you include your preseason games, man, that's asking an awful lot from a football team because, you're not getting a break from early August. And if you want to, include training camp, mid-late July until November, mid-November, late November. That's a lot of football. That's a lot of taxing on the body. When you have a bye in week 9, I just feel like it's perfect. It's smack dab in the middle of that season for you.
I think if you asked any coach, and I've asked 1 or 2 in my time, Nick, they'll usually tell you the perfect time for a bye is smack dab in the middle of the schedule. I think that math has changed a little bit because of the new IR rules. You know how you can like bring a guy back off the injured reserve, like, and that if you have that bye week late in the season, sometimes with big injuries, should you have one, it gives you an extra week to make that decision on when to bring a guy back and if he'll be ready for a playoff run. I think some coaches might prefer it a little later in the season now because of that. But if you're just talking about pure rest and the break in the football calendar for these guys, like you were talking about, they'd almost always prefer it smack dab right in the middle.
I think all in all, a pretty good schedule for the Niners. A lot of miles, yes, but if you go off of last season's win percentage, which I'm not a fan of, the strength of schedule stuff, because
they're 15th.
That was last year.
They're smack dab in the middle if you do care.
That's last year.
Their opponents have a 514 win percentage.
Teams lose players, teams add players. Like, win percentages from a season ago mean nothing to me. But yeah, if you do go by that, as Ramie said, they're 15th. So they're almost, perfectly in the middle as far as strength of schedule goes. And I like the beginning. I like the end. If you can handle and manage the middle, you're going to be at 11 wins. And I think this
is that where you got him?
I got 11? Him at 12. I think 12-5 feels somewhat safe.
Okay. I had him at 11-6, and the over-under is 11.5. So we're meeting right there.
We're right around it. I'm actually more optimistic about the Niners than Ramie is.
It's finally something you're more optimistic.
You started with the bad today. I set you up for the good, and you went right to the bad.
Because I like to finish with the good, to leave a good taste on the palate. That's how I always work.
All right.
You know what I mean?
Text line 916-339-1140 is the text line. The phone number is 1-800-920.
Little something sweet on your tongue.
1140. YouTube, youtube.com, Sactown Sports 1140. How do you feel about this Niners schedule now that we have had a night to kind of sleep on it, look at it again? 916-339-1140. Always love the YouTube chat. And make sure you give us that thumbs up, youtube.com, Sactown Sports 1140. We'll get to your reaction on the Niners. Also in 90 seconds, it was one of the most confounding superstar performances that you'll ever see.
Cattles and Ramie.
Sactown Sports.
The Kings season might be over, but Sactown sports coverage never stops.
Returning is honestly my number one priority. To be a part of something special.
Stay tuned all off season to Sactown Sports and SactownSports.com for the latest Kings news.
Ace fans need Friday night plans? Well, we got you covered. Get 4 tickets and parking for any Friday night game starting at just $49 with the Friday 4-pack presented by Chevrolet. Save big and enjoy great matchups, post-game fireworks and drone shows, giveaways, and more this 2023 season.
But he drills one to right, way back, and no doubt, and that quickly the A's have taken the lead. Second deck.
Friday night tickets are available at athletics.com/value. That's athletics.com/value.
Quick Quack Car Wash is excited to announce Ceramic Duck, the stronger, shinier, luckier car wash experience that can only be found at Quick Quack. Their new Ceramic Duck car wash provides unparalleled protection from dirt, grime, rain, and UV rays while giving your car a noticeably deeper shine and smoother finish. With consistent use, you'll build a shine that will have you looking spectacular for days. Try the premium wash at 50% off by texting DUCK to 41284. So come on, experience Ceramic Duck today. You and your car will be glad you did.
Your afternoon home for Kings talk and more.
This is Cattles and Ramie
on Sactown Sports.
Manny Too Legit, youtube.com, Sactown Sports 1140. Give us that thumbs up. We appreciate it. I really just saw Monty McNair at Target.
Hey.
LOL. Didn't realize
Monty McNair.
Didn't realize how tall he is.
What was he getting? Curious.
Ooh, I don't know. Manny Too Legit. What was Monty McNair buying? What was he shopping for?
I gotta know. I know that might be intrusive, a violation of the man's privacy, but if we know, I'd like to know.
I want to know how tall he is.
How tall is Monty? I'm sure you can find that on the internet. No,
Manny Too Legit. Think so? Manny Too Legit said that he's taller than he realized. I don't know. Just trying to Google Monty McNair height, and it's pretty difficult to sift through some of those things.
No, he's not that tall, though.
Yeah,
average size.
Oh, yeah.
Why am I Googling? I should ask JJ.
Courtside.
Jay sits right
Yeah.
next to him at
next
the
to
games.
him.
Yeah.
What's he, 6'1", 6'2"?
Yeah, like 6'2", not that tall.
All right.
It's not on his Wikipedia. He never balled. He never balled. He doesn't have like a page where we can find his measurables.
You want to really dig into Monty, huh?
Yeah, he hadn't been to the combine. Let me tell you that.
What's his vert?
Hadn't been in Chicago pre-draft camp.
We were talking about the Niners schedule, and I said they got 2 Thursday night football games, which I hate. And I just overall I don't like Thursday night football. The idea of it. As a fan, I'll watch it. Of course, it's product.
I told you I want it Thursday through Monday.
Yeah, which is just silly. But I'm not a fan of it because you're asking players to have that quick turnaround, and that absolutely, to me, that absolutely bugs a lot of players and coaches, and the play on the field isn't the same. Manny Too Legit, by the way. Monty was looking at gift cards, sipping on Starbucks. So there you have it. Maybe he's buying some gift cards for the front office on a good season. I don't know.
Maybe it's just something to, sweeten the pot for some free agents.
It's Mother's Day on Sunday.
Here's a Best Buy gift card.
That's what it is.
Oh, it is. You think Monty's a gift card guy for Mother's Day?
I don't know. I don't know him that well. I can't.
No, but like for the mothers, like Matina's, anyone who's mother.
Yeah, mothers in the organization. Okay.
I couldn't get free coffee?
Now we're thinking.
I would imagine, the way I picture the life of an NBA GM, he'd have an assistant who he'd be like, hey, can you go grab
Is there
gift
something
cards
wrong, by the way, giving gift cards out?
to your mom for Mother's Day? I don't know. That seems kind of
easy.
I mean, yeah, it's easy. That's the problem. Is it's easy.
What do you want me to build something?
Put a little thought, effort into it.
I did.
Maybe Monty's getting you coffee, Ramie.
That's possible. That is possible.
No, it's not. It's not even close to being possible. What are you talking about? It's possible.
Time to curb some of these.
Out of control. It's possible.
Probably not possible.
Maybe he is. No, he's not. No, he's not.
I need to know who the gift card's for.
We'll talk to Eric Crocker coming up in the next 15 minutes or so. Eric Crocker with us to talk Niners schedule and what he expects from the season, all that good stuff. Let's jump to basketball though here for a few minutes. Yesterday, the Celtics forced Game 7. They went to Philly. They beat Philly. Game 7 will be on Sunday on Mother's Day. Not sure what time it's going to be yet. That depends on if the Lakers win or lose. If the Lakers win tonight, then that Celtics 76ers game will be, I think, 5:00 our time. If the Warriors win tonight, then you have the Celtics playing at, I think, 12:30 our time on Sunday. So interesting game. The most interesting thing about this game was Jason Tatum. And you can't play. Well, I shouldn't say play. You can't shoot, because I thought he played pretty well. He was defending. He was rebounding. He was, finding teammates for open shots. But you cannot shoot worse. I mean, he started this game 1 for 13. The first 3.5 quarters, he was an absolute
I thought he had 3
nightmare.
field goals in the first. One field goal in the first 3 quarters?
1 for 13. Oof. 1 for 13 start. Could not throw the ball in the ocean. And then all of a sudden, it's like he wakes up with 6 minutes left in the fourth quarter, and he ends up outscoring the 76ers on his own in the fourth quarter. He scored 16 points. The 76ers scored 13.
Isn't that the Celtics, though? Like in a nutshell?
Yes.
Isn't he a microcosm of the Celtics?
That was a microcosm of the Celtics season and how the Celtics play.
That's exactly what I thought when I saw that score, that line score of the first 3 quarters and then the fourth from Jason Tatum. I was like, oh, he was doing what Nick talks about.
Yeah,
the whole team.
The up and down, up and down. OptaStats had this tweet on Tatum. He is the only NBA player in the last 20 years to have 3 or fewer points through 3 quarters of a playoff game and then proceed to outscore the entire opposing team in the fourth quarter.
That's ridiculous.
And what that does show you, honestly, it shows you a guy's confidence. Like, if you're a normal human being and you go 1 for 13 to start a win-or-go-home game, I don't know how many people, just, regular person confidence, I don't know how many people would be like, final 6 minutes of the game, I'm going to keep shooting.
Yeah, I would shut it down.
And like Tatum, he made 1 3 over Embiid, I think it was. And then he made like 3 straight threes. And he was just a different guy. And that's the confidence of an NBA player. That's especially the confidence of a guy who finished in the top 5 of the MVP race. He doesn't care. It's like the MJ thing. Like, He doesn't care. I'm going to keep shooting. They're going to fall eventually. That is just unbelievable confidence.
Gotta
from
have a
him.
short memory, man.
Here was Tatum in the post game.
I got to give a lot of credit to my teammates, right? They were extremely vocal throughout the game, right? Encouraging. I'm being transparent. It's frustrating, right? You want to win so bad. You want to play so well. And, shots not falling, things just not necessarily going your way. And you want it so bad. But try and stay present, try and stay in the moment, try and do other things.
Cattles and Ramie, Sactown Sports on this Friday. I do not understand what the 76ers were doing. They were awful offensively in the fourth quarter. Yes, that had a lot to do with the Celtics defense. But Joel Embiid, Ramie, had one touch in like the final 4 minutes of this game.
And he knew it.
Yep.
He knew it.
One touch.
He said it after the game. I wonder if he said something during the game, because that's the time to say something like, hey, coach, Doc, whatever he calls him, I'm your best player. I haven't gotten the ball in the last 6 minutes. Touched it one time. You think maybe we draw something up to get the ball in these giant hands? How does that happen? Nick?
It's just, look, it's bad coaching, number one, because at some point Doc's got to say, get the ball to Joel. Simple. Get him the ball. Joe Mazzulla, who's not a great coach, he said in the postgame last night that he pulled Tatum aside after Tatum went 1 for 13, and he told him, demand the ball, get the damn ball, and go. Doc has to do that with Joel. At some point, Doc has to get that team together and say, our best player, the MVP of the league, has had one touch in the last couple of minutes, guys.
Give him the ball.
Like, that's a game that you absolutely want to win. If you're Philly, like, put your foot on the throat of the Celtics, end their season. Don't go back to Boston on Sunday. You had a chance to close that series out, and your best player, the MVP, doesn't get a touch.
Yeah.
It's just absolutely outrageous from Philly. Meanwhile, James Harden, we talk about up and down. Bad James Harden in the playoffs showed up. He was 4-16 from the floor. He had 5 turnovers. And I'll say this about the Celtics the last 2 years. The only team that has been able to put them away when their backs are truly against the wall, the Warriors. The Bucks had a chance last year. They went to Milwaukee. They won Game 6, came back, blew them out Game 7 in Boston. Celtics lost Game 6 in Boston to Miami last year. Game 7 went into Miami, beat Miami. Now, backs against the wall in Philly, lose, go home, they beat Philly. So there has been a common thread. As maddening as that team is, when their backs are truly against the wall,
they deliver.
They usually play well.
Yeah.
The Warriors took care of them last year in the finals. Other than that, they've got the job done. So now you got to go in on Sunday if you're Philly. I would imagine the Celtics will come back with that double big lineup that really shut Philly down. Philly shot 36% from the floor. They were 16 for 38 in the paint. They had a tough time with Horford and Williams.
Yeah, and I'm not going to say what I think is going to happen in Game 7. You don't want.
No, you're not saying a thing.
Not going to say anything.
Not allowed.
You don't want me to say anything.
This crew is not allowed.
You don't want anybody to say anything about what's going to happen in Game 7.
Beeman says Doc Rivers masterclass.
Stupid. Totally stupid.
This man has been riding off a 2008 championship. Look, I don't think Doc is very good, and that's been documented.
Hey, I see what you did there.
He just hasn't been very good. He lost a bunch of series leads with the Clippers. He's not very good. People love him. The media loves him because he's a good quote and he's a solid guy. Players like him and all that stuff. But he's had talented teams before and has not gotten enough out of them. And so I agree with Beeman on that. And I don't know how you are standing there watching this game and allowing your team to not get the basketball to the MVP. Call a timeout. Call a timeout, get a play, draw up a play, get Embiid the basketball.
I would just scream it from the sideline because it's one of those things that even if you know it's coming, can you stop it? I would just be on the sideline screaming, give Joel the ball. Like, just tell him. Just tell him it's coming. Just give Joel the ball.
It's like one of those things where I say when you're a fan or you're a media person and you watch a lot of sports and stuff, and sometimes you watch games and you go, why is this not happening? It seems so simple. Like,
didn't some hockey analyst just get a GM job? This might not be out of the question. Nick.
He did.
We should maybe be GM.
But he played in the league, so a little bit different. But yeah, it's like one of those
things. I
still
think maybe we should be GMs.
Like you're watching the game and you're like, why is this not happening? Like, you guys are coaching pro basketball, right? Like, how does Joel Embiid get one touch in 4 minutes?
Yeah, I'm not playing. I'm watching.
In the game.
That's what Doc was doing.
All right, Eric Crocker joins us to discuss the Niners schedule and more next.
Cattles
and Ramie.
Sactown Sports. Check out the Golf to Go Hour with Frank LaRosa every week on Sactown Sports.
Eric, as always, we appreciate your time. Let me ask you about this schedule. What is the best thing about this schedule that stood out to you?
Oh man, I think having that Thursday night game and then having a long kind of layover into your next game. Just kind of having that stretch there. So it's a home. You have a road game. You're coming off a road game in LA, which essentially, that's Levi South for the most part. So it's kind of like a home game. Then you have a home Thursday night game, which is cool, and then you have a long break into your next game. So I think that stretch right there is pretty cool. Kind of favors the 49ers to kind of get things going. And if they do happen to come off of a loss, they have a lot of time to get things going back on the right track.
I think the first thing that leaked about this schedule a couple days ago was that Week 13 with Philadelphia, the NFC Championship rematch. And Kyle Shanahan said he was glad that wasn't Week 1, that he wants to see those guys when they're whole and playing their best football. Do you think we can take that as a sign that game is already circled on the schedule? And do you have it circled on the schedule as sort of a measuring stick game?
I think everybody has a circle, right? Like, as of right now, we'll see how it plays out. There's a lot of time in between now and then. But going into the season, those are the two best teams in the NFC. And right now, the people look at the Philadelphia Eagles as the big dogs. So the 49ers, and one thing about them, and we'll kind of get into like maybe the early part of the schedule, but they have a tendency to kind of start slow a little bit, especially offensively. So they're typically hitting their stride, as long as, quarterbacks are healthy, but they're typically hitting their stride around, week 8 and on from there. So I think Kyle Shanahan's probably thinking, hey, when we're typically getting into our real groove, that's when we catch the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, we'll see what the weather is like in week 13. That's something that's going to be a little interesting down there, but the way the 49ers play football, the kind of brand and the style, it probably shouldn't be too much of an issue.
Eric Crocker with us, former NFL cornerback, host of 49ers Locked On podcast here at Cattles and Ramie, Sactown Sports on this Friday. Eric, is the at Seattle, at Philadelphia, and then back to play Seattle and San Francisco, is that the toughest stretch of this schedule to you?
I think that is tough. I think that Seattle game, and again, that's come off of a short week. I believe it's a Thursday night game, Thanksgiving, I believe. So I think that's going to be a tough game for the 49ers on the road. A lot of fans are kind of overlooking Seattle for whatever reason. And they're pointing to Geno Smith as the reason why. And I get it. He didn't play his best football against the 49ers. But last year, if you were to put his numbers up against any 49ers quarterback and kind of plug him in, people would love him. And they'd say he's the next, the best thing since Joe Montana, throwing 30 touchdowns and 4,300 yards and 17 QBR. So he had a terrific season. I'm curious to see how those young Seahawks, if the young guys kind of take that next step. They were very young. They didn't have high expectations. Now going into this year, they're probably going to turn it up a notch even more. So I think they're going to be good. I think that Thursday night game in Seattle is going to be tough. And then you follow that up having to play Philadelphia in Philly. I think that's going to be tough as well.
6 Eastern time zone games, 4 of those at 10 a.m. Pacific time, and no real chance in there for their Eastern stayover that they usually do for back-to-back games, so they're not traveling back and forth. I don't know if we're going to get a prediction from you before we wrap this thing up, but how much does all that travel and those early kickoffs factor into how you think this 49ers team will finish this season?
Well, I think when I look at the coaching staff and how they've handled those stretches throughout the tenure of Kyle Shanahan, he's done a really good job. I think prior to that, we saw some inconsistency with the 49ers and their ability or inability to kind of win off of those long travels, but they've done a good job. I look at the staff, and they've had a lot of turnover at the defensive coordinator position, going from Robert Saleh to D'Amico Ryans and now Wilkes. But overall, the coaching seems to have everybody ready for whatever it is that they have to do. And I think it's the standard that Kyle Shanahan holds his players and his staff to. They don't make excuses for, not being able to, travel well. So I think they're going to be ready. That's not something that really worries me with this team.
Eric Crocker is with us. He's on the Folsom Lake Honda hotline. Folsom Lake Honda, your one-stop Honda shop. Eric, with all of that said, we all play the win-loss, loss-win, win-loss game when the schedule comes out. What do you see as a reasonable record projection when you look at everything regarding this specific schedule this year for this team?
So I was on Bleacher Report, and I actually I had to do the whole win-loss thing, and I had the 49ers at 12-5. And probably the more shocking loss that I had the 49ers taking was week 1 to Pittsburgh. And people were like, oh, no, I get it. Everybody's super excited heading into the year. But I just look at week one. I look at the 49ers. They oftentimes just really get off to a slow start. Kyle Shanahan in his time with the 49ers, I want to say is 2-5 or 2-4 in week one. So he hasn't been quite that great, regardless of what the expectations were heading into the year. The offense, it feels like it takes a little time to get clicking a little bit. If the defense can really stifle Kenny Pickett at quarterback, the 49ers won't have an issue. But I'd say even starting off there, you might have to take an L. Now, after that, it looks more favorable. I think the thing that people might be overlooking as well is can the Rams bounce back from that bad season last year? Yeah, terrible situation at the quarterback position. Guys getting hurt. And I know 49ers are like, hey, we don't want to hear those excuses, right, at the quarterback position. But they seem to be healthier. Cooper Kupp healthy. We're kind of overlooking that. So 12-5, I think that's definitely in reach for the 49ers. If they were 11-6 or even 10-7, I can definitely see that depending on how they get out the gate. Because, yeah, you got some tough games, and you got Dallas Cowboys week 5. I know the 49ers have had their number over the last couple of years, but I think that's still going to be a tough game. A lot of good teams early on. Cincinnati Bengals right before the bye. So I'd say 12-5, 11-6, and I wouldn't be surprised. So take the over. I think the over is like 10.5 wins. I would take the over on the 49ers.
I believe we're legally obligated to ask you about the quarterback position while we have you here. So who starts the season at quarterback? Who finishes the season at quarterback for the 49ers this year?
Oh, man. So for Kyle Shanahan's sake, because his hair is turning gray, the hairline's going back a little bit. I think he's stressed out about this quarterback thing every single year. So for him, I hope it's one quarterback that starts and one quarterback that finishes. And if I had to guess who that quarterback is, I would say Brock Purdy. You kind of look at the way his, rehabilitation is going right now. It sounds like everything is on track. He's on the field. I saw him on the field standing there with a helmet on. He's not throwing the football, but he's throwing, using the towel to work through his mechanics and his throwing motions. So he's definitely engaged with what's going on. So it feels like Brock Purdy, the guy that kind of is as John Lynn said, the leader in the clubhouse right now, has things going. Now, what can throw a wrench in that is Trey Lance. Kyle talked about it at the State of the Franchise, how, Trey Lance has looked as good as he has been. He's fully healthy. He had to change his throwing mechanics because of the finger that he had, the finger injury he had before. He's recovered from that. He worked on his mechanics in the offseason, and he's ready to go. And that's what you would like to see, right, for a guy entering year 3 and having some time under his belt. He's had to go through a lot of adversity, and I really root for guys that have to, battle through adversity, battle through people counting them out. And I think Trey Lance is definitely being counted out right now by a lot of people. So, hey, man, show why you were the number 3 overall pick. You have an immense amount of talent. Go out there and compete. And if it looks good, then it can start looking weird, especially come preseason when maybe Brock Purdy's not ready to get out there on the field yet. Trey Lance gets out there and if he throws some bombs, even like he did against Green Bay week 1 preseason last year, maybe people start to kind of say, well, wait a minute, we did put a lot of resources in this kid. Well, Brock Purdy, let's hold off on you starting. Let's put you on the pup list to start the season. And maybe they give Trey Lance a shot week 1. I don't know if they're going to do that, but I can see them kind of working it that way to where they actually get to see what they have in the kid before they just really turn the franchise over to Brock Purdy, which it feels like that's what they're going to do regardless.
Eric, we appreciate you, my man. Let's do this again soon. Have a great weekend.
All right, thanks, guys. Anytime.
Thank you. There goes Eric Crocker, former NFL cornerback, host of 49ers Locked On podcast. And, of course, he was on the Folsom Lake Honda hotline. Folsom Lake Honda, your one-stop Honda shop. How did a former NBA head coach turned commentator really step in it? Find out next.
Cattles and Ramie.
Sactown Sports. Are you ready to hear this on Sactown Sports?
Handoff McCaffrey. Touchdown! San Francisco!
Or how about this?
Feel super, baby! The 5-time Super Bowl champions, and they're looking for number 6.
Catch every Niners game during the 2023 season
On your home for the 49ers.
Sactown Sports. Eric was way behind on his
I owed a lot of money to the IRS, almost $15,000. I tried to make payments.
The IRS wasn't satisfied with Eric's efforts, so they came after him full force.
They're coming to put a lien and a hold on all my income, my home, my car. I was just overwhelmed at what to do.
Then Eric called Optima Tax Relief.
When Optima Tax got involved, the calls would stop, the threats would stop. It was easy like 1, 2, 3.
Optima Tax Relief is A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau, and their team of expert tax professionals took care of Eric's problem.
I owe $15,000, and now my debt is clean. I don't owe anything.
Take Eric's advice.
If you have a tax problem, you need to call Optima Tax now.
Call Optima Tax Relief for a free consultation. Call 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Hey, Scott, you look great.
Yeah, I'm feeling good and have a new job.
No, there's something different about the way you look.
To be honest, a few months ago, I had an amazing robotic hair transplant procedure at XL Medicine. It's called the artist procedure.
No way. Your hair looks completely natural, and you don't even have a scar. How did they do that?
Dude, the artist system is amazing. I have this fantastic hairline, and I'm happy with my results. XL Medicine could probably help you too, buddy.
Using the ARTIST procedure, Dr. Singh and Dr. Graywall can target and harvest healthy hair follicles with micron-level accuracy from the back of your head and transplant them where you need it. The procedure is painless, and you'll be back doing your regular activities in a couple of days. Ask Dr. Singh and Dr. Graywall at XL Medicine about the ARTIST procedure. Call today, 916-932-4470. That's 932-4470 for a complimentary in-person or Zoom consultation, or on the web at xlmedicine.com. That's EXCEL medicine.com. See what the ARTIST procedure can do for you.
These are actors and not real patients.
Pain is not normal. Repeat, pain is not normal. Greetings, Sacramento. Doug Christie here with the Good Feet store. Does this sound familiar? It's the end of the workday, and the pain in your feet, knees, hips, or back is unrelenting. Good Feet understands that you've likely already tried assorted remedies and solutions with no relief. And now you're pretty much resigned to living with the pain. But do not give in to the pain. Instead, come to the Good Feet store for their end-to-end 3-step arch support system. Good Feet is the nation's largest manufacturer and retailer of personalized arch supports. With arch supports in over 300 sizes, styles, and flexibilities, and an arch support specialist in each store. Come in today for a free, no-obligation arch support fitting, then take them for a test walk around the store or around the center. Experience the comfort, balance, and support possible with the Good Feet system. The Good Feet store in Sacramento, Roseville, Stockton, Modesto, and now in Vacaville. Online at goodfeet.com.
Kevin Lewis of National Garage Door. Whether you need to repair a broken spring, install a new opener, or buy a quality Rainer door, National Garage Door is here for you. Call us today to see how we can transform your house with a new garage door.
638-4554 National Garage Door.
At Ashton & Price, over the last 25 years, we've won just about every injury case you can think of. Slip and fall, falling merchandise, fell through rotted decking, we won those. Dangerous stairs, falls into holes, dog bites, won them. Injured while pedestrian or on a bicycle, auto, motorcycle, big rig, company vehicle, Uber, or Lyft accident, we've won them all. And the best news is there's no fee until you win. So no matter how you got injured,
remember, for the best advice, don't think twice. Call Ashton & Price.
We didn't miss it.
See right there. You see it? I think it.
We just chose not to tell you. Well, we're ready now. It's How Did We Not Get Into It?
Get into it,
All right, how do we not get to it this week on this Friday? We were talking about Joel Embiid earlier in the show, how he got one single solitary touch in the final 4 minutes of that game yesterday, which is just inexcusable if you are the 76ers.
Unforgivable.
Yeah, it's crazy. Imagine going in and, imagine Mike Brown allowing De'Aaron Fox to have one touch in the final
one shot.
Yeah,
one touch
in the final 4 minutes of a game.
The ball touched those fingers one time.
Imagine if it was Game 6 at the Chase Center and that game was closer, and Mike Brown allowed the Kings to not get the ball to De'Aaron Fox more than once.
We'd be losing our minds.
And it's because, Captain Obvious, Embiid won the freaking MVP this year, and he certainly deserved to win the MVP this year. Nikola Jokic finished second in the voting, and it was unearthed this week that there was one person, Ramie, that left Jokic off of their MVP ballot. Yeah, not that he wasn't picked in the top 1 or 2.
We mentioned this, but we never got around to who it was.
Completely left off the ballot. And that person was the person who some wanted to coach this Kings team. Mark Jackson. Mark Jackson forgot to put Nikola Jokic on his MVP ballot. What's more inexcusable? Not getting the ball to Embiid more than once in the final 4 minutes, or leaving Jokic off your ballot?
Man, both are just like,
what are we doing?
Mind-boggling. Like, I gotta wonder if you've seen basketball before. If you make the choice to do those two things, like what happened? But man, I don't even know which one is more in for. Probably the Jokic thing. Because in the course of a game, I can see that just happening. You sit down, and think about an MVP ballot. That's probably more unforgivable, right?
It's just, because you have all the time in the world. And you're sitting around and you're waiting, and
in a game, in the heat of the moment, you could, he didn't touch the ball. Whoops. You know what I mean? You sit down and fill out a ballot. There isn't a clock ticking. Nobody's playing defense on you.
No.
While you're filling out a ballot.
Things aren't happening fast.
Right, exactly.
You're sitting on the toilet. You can think about your ballot.
Probably, yeah.
All right, so Mark Jackson ended up being a guest on NBC's NBA Sirius XM radio yesterday. And, of course, he was asked about leaving Jokic off his MVP ballot. And here's what Jackson had to say.
One thing I live by, you make a mistake, you own it. I'm not a guy that does it for clicks or be trending. Absolute mistake made by me. You can tell. I probably, in thinking, how did I make the mistake? You can tell I put 1 center, 2 forwards, and 2 guards. So I wasn't even thinking. I apologize to the Denver Nuggets. I apologize to Nikola Jokic, who is not only in the MVP discussion and deserved to be on my ballot, but he's one of the greatest players in the history of this game. And he's a top 10 center of all time. So I own it. If you want to take away my vote or do whatever, more than welcome. I made a mistake. He deserves, in my opinion, to be clearly, I would have still voted for Joel Embiid, the MVP, but with Giannis and Joker second and third, they deserve that. Incredible year by him. He continues to make history. I own the mistake, and I apologize.
I almost feel like it would have been better if he gave us a legit reason other than, I just forgot.
I do respect and appreciate the owning up to it. We were talking yesterday about how accountability is like not a thing anymore, and people are appalled when you want accountability. He took accountability. He said he owns it. If you want to take away his vote, he said he would understand that.
I mean, really, what else is he supposed to do?
But I'm still sitting here going, how? How, Sway? You know what I mean? How does that happen?
What's the process of picking the voters?
That's a good question.
I would like to ask the NBA, is there a committee that picks the voters for the MVP? Like, how does this list come together? How do you have Mark Jackson as a – and yes, I'm sorry, but he should never vote again. He should never have a vote in anything.
I can't even argue with you. That sounds like
I might not
culture.
even want him to vote for the president next election. This is so bad. Like, your voting rights are done. Done. At least for the next 10 years.
Your judgment has been thrown into question, sir.
I don't want this guy helping pick the president. Can't even figure out to put Jokic on the MVP ballot. My freaking word. What is the process? Meanwhile, also in the NBA, something else that we have not talked about just yet, Ramie. We heard the reports that Toronto was, using a wide net for their head coach search, right? Mm-hmm. They were going to be looking around at a bunch of different possibilities. And one of the names that came up this week, and did you notice who reported it?
I did. I don't know who did report
Adrian Wojnarowski. This is one of my favorite things. I believe it was Woj. One of my favorite things is when you have somebody who works at an outlet, and somebody reports something. Like, we don't know how serious of a candidate JJ Redick is. They might have been doing him a favor, or maybe he's a very serious candidate. But when Woj reports it or ESPN reports it, is that doing a favor for Redick because Redick wants to be a coach?
Sure.
So it's like, let's get his name out there, right? Some of the media plays that kind of game, but Redick apparently interviewed with the Raptors. And your thoughts on JJ Redick possibly being a head coach in the NBA?
He is skipping some steps.
A few.
And I know that's going to rub a lot of people the wrong way, and I totally understand that. And they'd be justified in feeling that way when a JJ Redick skips steps. But am I crazy to say I can see this working? And here's why, Nick. He knows, first of all, he knows ball, right? He's an NBA player. He knows basketball. He can draw. And I'm sure he'll surround himself with a staff that'll help him put together a game plan, draw plays, everything that goes into being a coach. But to me, especially in the NBA, a lot of coaching is getting through to players. And from what I've seen from JJ Redick and his work with the media, he has a good rapport with current NBA players. With this generation of NBA players, JJ Redick seems to sit down and be able to speak their language and relate to them, and that's a big deal when you're talking about coaching, man. I think guys have open ears to JJ Redick if he is the head coach standing at the front of the room. I don't think it's as crazy an idea as it might seem at first glance. Now, like I said, I get there will be people upset, and those in the coaching profession that have been climbing the ranks that are going to be like, this dude?
Yeah.
I've been here grinding for years, climbing through coaching staff after coaching staff. I get that, but that doesn't mean it won't work. I could see a world where this works.
It could work, and I would never just, toss it aside and say, no way, that's not. I will say the last guy that went from ESPN into coaching was Chauncey, and he has not done a spectacular job in Portland.
No.
Now, Portland, of course, look, their roster is their roster. Dame Dollah's been hurt as well. I wouldn't put it all on Chauncey, but Chauncey went directly from ESPN to head coach, and it hasn't gone well. People will look at, Steve Kerr, but Steve Kerr, he had some history, right? He had some history within the game as far as, I believe, like front office, correct? So
didn't he come from the booth?
He was in the booth, but he was also
he in the front office prior to the booth?
I believe so. JJ, wasn't Steve Kerr in a front office before
Arizona?
Yeah, I think he was
in Arizona.
I think he was in Phoenix. Yeah. So, when you look at directly from TV to coaching, not a ton of examples. So we'll see, we'll see how it works, at least recently. We'll see how it works. Usually you go the assistant route. The other name is Becky Hammon that's been brought up. I still just don't know if the NBA is ready to have a female head coach. We'll see. If there is going to be a female head coach, obviously Hammon is the top of the list.
Yes.
She should be the one that gets that first gig. She's a great coach, male or female.
Mm-hmm.
She's a fantastic coach. It's just, I always do wonder about, a female head coach for a professional team with a bunch of dudes in the locker room. Are they all in with that situation? And how does that, you never know.
It's unfortunate that's a factor you have to consider, but
Yeah.
it is a factor you have to consider. There's a lot of machismo in the world of male professional sports. And you're right, Nick, it's gotta be the right situation and the right group of guys who aren't going to be hung up on that, because there are plenty of guys that are going to be hung up on that. Unfortunately, like I said, it's something that you do have to consider.
No doubt about it. That's how kind of, this world is, and that world is. And again, we'll see if they feel comfortable with that idea of bringing Becky in. But I mean, look, outside looking in, without getting into those male, female, machismo kind of things, just as a pure coach, she obviously is decorated enough, and she's obviously good enough to coach a men's basketball team. So hopefully that'll one day happen here sooner rather than later. 916-339-1140 is the text line. Phone number is 1-800-920-1140. Let's talk some Kings. How attached should the Kings be to Kevin Huerter? We'll dig into that coming up.
Cattles and Ramie.
Sactown Sports.
Catch the Oakland A's every weekend on Sactown Sports. Friday nights, Saturdays, and Sundays.
Sinking, that's going to get down for a hit. Around third to score is Tony Kemp. And the A's have taken the lead. Edge of the track makes the catch. And the Athletics get a great win.
Sactown Sports, your weekend home for the Oakland A's.
Sactown Sports coverage of the Oakland A's is brought to you by Xfinity 10G, the next generation network.
Attorney Joe Cordell.
Business owners and professionals face special challenges in divorce court. In addition to everything else going on, they have to contend with allegations that they are earning more than they are, coupled with claims on their business or practice itself. Clients with assets depend on their divorce lawyer's skills in these matters, and that's why it's so important to hire someone that has those skills.
500 Capitol Mall, Suite 2060, Sacramento, California, 95814. CordellCordell.com.
Nick Cattles reminding you that not all grills are created equal. Start your grilling season right with the amazing Napoleon Prestige line of outdoor cookers from Green Acres Nursery and Supply. My Napoleon Stainless Steel Pro Series gas grill, it's turning me into a pro. Just ask my friends that came over a couple weeks ago for my get-together. Napoleon Grills features other grills that just can't match. Built different, built better, built to last. I may never want to cook indoors again. All made with premium steel that boasts absolute quality. Go to Napoleon.com for your nearby Napoleon Grills dealer. Napoleon Grills, now is the time for the best selection of grills and fine accessories.
Guys, did you know your testosterone affects everything in your system, including how you feel and perform every day? Right now, Revive Men's Health Sacramento will check your testosterone for free. Knowing your T levels is the first step in understanding if you have low T. Your testosterone level impacts your energy, libido, sleep, weight, hair loss, mood, and even ED. Maintaining an appropriate T level can change your whole life. Most men start to see changes in their hormone levels in their 30s. Experience and results matter. So what are you waiting for? Get your T levels checked today by local, experienced, and trusted men's health experts. They've helped thousands of men since 2011. They're so confident they can help you, they even guarantee it. Call Revive today and schedule your free testosterone test, free exam, and free consultation. Call Revive Men's Health at 916-277-8599. That's 916-277-8599. Or visit ReviveMen'sHealth.com.
Life is uncertain. It's okay to feel stressed, anxious, worried, or frustrated. It's normal. With CalHope's free and secure mental health resources, it's easy to get the help you and your loved ones need when you need it the most. Call our warm line at 833-317-4673 or live chat at calhope.org today.
When you take the time to shop at Folsom Lake Honda, there's one thing you'll always find: happy people ready to serve you. As a family-owned and operated dealership since 2009, customer service is our #1 priority. Our customers love doing business with us, and you will too.
Looking to own or lease? During the spring sales event, drive a brand new Accord or Civic. Visit us today at FolsomLakeHonda.com, your one-stop Honda shop.
Folsom Lake Honda, yeah, your one-stop Honda shop.
When you're ready to get properly fitted for golf clubs, join the thousands of Northern California golfers who visited the indoor-outdoor Hagen Oaks Player Performance Studio. Players of all abilities found the Hagen Oaks Player Performance Studio offers answers to questions about golf club fitting. You'll find a professional staff of fitters, major equipment brands, and cutting-edge technology featuring TrackMan. See for yourself at the Hagen Oaks Player Performance Studio, Fulton Avenue at the Cap City Freeway. Call 916-808-2531 to schedule your fitting. 808-2531 for longer, straighter drives.
Are you ready to finance your first home or your next move? Well, let Safe Credit Union's local mortgage team help you get pre-approved before you start looking for that perfect home. Jason Ross here, and now through June 30th, get a $900 lender credit when you choose Safe Credit Union for your home lending needs. And Safe's mortgage team has an excellent record of personalized service because they're all about you. You'll know exactly what to expect and feel supported during each step of the process. Apply for a Safe home loan today at safecu.org/get900 and let's Safe put you first. Safe Credit Union is an equal housing opportunity lender.
KHTKAM Sacramento, KYMX HD2 Sacramento. From the Power Business Technology Toshiba Studios, your home for the Oakland A's every weekend.
And it's swung on line to left center, base hit, and the A's have won it on a walk-off line drive, base hit to left center.
Sactown Sports. Sactown Sports.
Headlines. Happy Friday, it's Simone with your Sactown Sports headlines. NFL schedule dropped yesterday, and of course, Sactown Sports is providing you with the best local comprehensive takes. As your new home for the San Francisco 49ers, keep it locked here all summer long as we preview the quest for 6.
San Francisco!
Last night in the NBA playoffs, Denver Nuggets able to eclipse the Suns in a supernova blowout, 125-100. Denver punches their ticket to the Western Conference Finals and await the victor of the Dubs-Lakers series. Speaking of those two California foes back in the crypt tonight, LeBron James and company still hold the 3-2 series lead. Tip-off at 7. And Thursday afternoon, Boston Celtics able to clap back in Philly with a humble 95-86 victory.
And it will come down to 48 minutes in Boston. It's over.
Game 7 on Sunday with a to-be-determined tip-off. Otherwise, in the association, Knicks lacing up their Tims as they touch down in Miami for Game 6. The Heat lead that series 3-2 with tip-off slated for 4:30.
Thank God it's Friday.
I'm Simone. Those are your Sactown Sports headlines. Welcome back into Cattles and Ramie.
One brings Makloff magic, while the other, we're still trying to figure that out.
Cattles and Ramie.
Sactown Sports.
Let's get to some Kings here at the top of the second hour of the show. Thanks for joining us as always on this Friday. Best day of the week. No doubt about that. So, Ramie, we all agree that Monty's mission, it's a rather easy mission statement. Now, executing it might not be so easy, but understanding what the mission is rather easy. The mission is build on 2022-2023. Build on the season you just had. Take the success you just had and build off of that and be even more successful next year. Now, the Kings have about $20 million in cap space if Harrison Barnes is renounced. They could renounce some other guys as well. But they're going to hover around, 23, 24 million. And you have some options, right? You can sign and trade Harrison Barnes. You can possibly trade Davion Mitchell. The first round pick situation is interesting here for this team because you're picking 24th in this draft, but then you can't trade first round picks until I think it's like 2027 or 2028, something outrageous because of that Kevin Huerter trade. So you're handcuffed and dealing picks, which means you have limited assets to deal, right? I mean, you're not going to deal Fox. You're not going to deal Domas. You're very, very unlikely to deal Keegan Murray. So when you start to look around with the guys that are under contract, Malik Monk, I find it hard to believe you'll deal Malik with the year he had and the friendship he has with Fox. I think Malik is safe. So when you look at this, you really have two guys. You have two guys on this roster right now, not counting HB in a sign and trade because he's a free agent. You have two guys who are locked into contracts with this team right now that are assets that you could trade this offseason to improve your team. One of them's Davion. We've talked about Davion. I've said this since the season, and some people got mad at me for absolutely no reason. You could just stay mad if that's the way you want to live. But Davion Mitchell, to me, is tradable.
You hate Davion Mitchell.
He's the third point guard on this team.
Said you hate Davion.
I know people think he's the second point guard, but in actuality, he plays off of the ball coming off the bench because Malik is the playmaker on that unit. So if you're going to have Fox, Domas, and Malik handle the basketball 85, 90% of the time, I think you're better served finding a fit for Davion elsewhere and bringing somebody onto the team that could help you, like a 3-and-D wing or a big, right?
Sure.
So Davion, I think, is absolutely available. I think if Monty could get an upgrade on this roster, he would trade Davion Mitchell. What about Kevin Huerter, right? What about these assets that they have? This week, we caught up with Akis Sierracostas from the Kings Herald, and here was Akis's take on the best assets, the most tradable assets for the Kings.
Mitchell or Huerter, probably. Huerter did not have a great playoffs, but he's a great shooter under a really good contract for his position. So I could see him being used as a chip. Sometimes salary is more of an important need when you're trying to trade for some of those bigger name players. And Davion doesn't make that much money compared to Huerter. So it might be easier to trade him.
So Huerter on the table. Huerter tradable. The question is, Ramie, to you and to everybody else listening and watching, 916-339-1140. The text line, 1-800-920-1140 is the phone number. You could always hit us up on YouTube, youtube.com, Sactown Sports 1140. The question is, how attached are you to Huerter? Would it take a lot to deal Huerter? Would you feel awful to deal Huerter? Do you feel like, he's a guy that you would rather hold on to than deal this offseason?
No, he'd be available. I'm not shopping him. I'm not picking up the phone if I'm Monty McNair and seeing who will take Kevin Huerter off my hands. That's not the case at all. But there are a couple factors. You mentioned he and Davion Mitchell are your two most movable pieces right now. Maybe your only movable pieces right now if you're trying to get better via a trade. And Nick, I agree with everything that you said about Davion Mitchell and what he brings to this team. And offensively, it doesn't look like much. As an off-ball guard, it doesn't look like Davion Mitchell can offer you much offensively. And with De'Aaron Fox and Malik Monk on the roster, he's going to be an off-ball guard more times than not. That being said, what is more rare? A guy who can shoot in today's NBA, a guy who can shoot the three like Kevin Huerter does, or a guy who can play defense and give the opposing guard an off night like Davion Mitchell does. In today's NBA, I think Davion Mitchell is more rare and harder to find.
I'd lean that way
for
too.
an NBA team than a Kevin Huerter is.
Yeah.
So that being said, I'm more willing to part with Kevin Huerter than I am with Davion Mitchell, and in a weird way. I think Kevin Huerter is more replaceable than Davion Mitchell, even if despite their
not if you
minutes
go out and get your guy Pat Bev.
That is true. That is true.
You could deal Huerter and sign Pat Bev.
But the other thing I need to factor in here is we've talked a lot about Harrison Barnes, and every time we talk about Harrison Barnes, we talk about the basketball, but I think you also have to factor in the chemistry of this basketball team. If you're going to part with Harrison Barnes, you might be disrupting things too much if you also part with a Kevin Huerter. How many pieces off of last year's team that had really good chemistry and had a really good thing going in that locker room, how many guys off that roster do you want to part with? How much do you want to shake that up? Because that is a part of the 2023 Sacramento Kings story and success, was how much all those guys liked each other, liked playing with each other. That is 100% a factor in how well they played this year. And you are, to a certain extent, playing with fire if you have too many moving pieces in one offseason off a team that loved each other and had great chemistry.
It's a fair point. It's a fair point. I would say that Huerter's on the table. I wouldn't trade Huerter just to trade Huerter. Nobody is saying that, right? I don't think he's somebody that you're going out of your way to trade or you're trying to trade necessarily. But if you told me you could get a good return, then yeah, he's on the table.
Yeah.
But you need a good return, because here's the thing. Malik Monk helps you in this conversation, because if you did move Huerter, you could start Monk. Now, I know people would say, but you're walking away from the sixth man role. Well, hopefully you would be able to bring in somebody who could play that sixth man role for you. Or hopefully you bring somebody in to replace Huerter and Monk stays as the sixth man. But there is some versatility there, right? Some flexibility. There's some flexibility in that spot, because you could always go with the Fox Monk backcourt. And I think a lot of people, at times this year were calling for that in certain stretches. So Monk allows you the ability to move from Huerter if you feel like you can upgrade this team in other spots and bring something else to the table that this team doesn't have, right? Like, I'm not saying you would do this, but let me hypothetically throw something out there. Again, this is just a hypothetical. But let's say you trade Huerter for Marcus Smart, right? Mm-hmm. Celtics don't make it to the finals. They don't win a championship. They decide we got to shake up this core. You trade Huerter for Marcus Smart. Now you can either, you could have Smart be your sixth man and move Monk to the starting lineup. And then you could also go out there and find somebody else to, supplement the team as well. So you could have Smart fill that versatile role of a guy who could really play the 1, 2, or 3 in the league. He brings the toughness, he brings the defense, all of those different things that we've talked about, right? A little bit of dog in him, right? And then if you bring Smart in, you can move away from Davion Mitchell. So now, it's not, deals aren't in vacuums. So if you dealt Huerter for Smart, now that makes Davion expendable. Now you could put Davion in a package that might bring you back a young 3-and-D wing or a young backup big. So that's the kind of thing that you can do if you're open to the idea of trading Herter. I think I'm always open to trading somebody unless I deem that somebody untouchable. De'Aaron Fox at this point is pretty untouchable unless you're talking about trading him for a top 5 or 6 guy. Domas is pretty close to untouchable unless you're changing the entire philosophy of your offense and you're kind of starting over again, right? The other question I have about Herter, we're going off of what we saw this year. I do wonder, and I think they'll be fine because I think they will adjust, and I think Domas will shoot more if he's forced to, like the Warriors series. But there is, as we talked about with Sabonis, there is something in the back of the head that you say, is the DHO game going to look the same next year? Is your offense going to look the same next year? Because that was really the secret sauce. Mm-hmm. That was the magic. It was the DHO between Domas and Herter. And if teams are going to back off of Domas and they're going to defend this team like the Warriors did and the DHO efficiency drops, then Herter's efficiency drops and Herter's value drops.
Sure. Yeah. That you don't want to disrupt this thing too much, man. I think you're talking about the on-the-court chemistry and the way that things have worked. I'm talking about the off-the-court chemistry and the way things have worked. I'm open to change. You're going to have to change some things to take that next step, but it's a balancing act, Nick, and it's a delicate one at that. The wrong moving parts could mean this thing going in the wrong direction, and the arrow pointing down instead of pointing up on what looks like a very promising Kings team and a start to the Mike Brown era and what Monty McNair has built here. But I'm not attached to anybody, but at the same time, this whole puzzle needs to fit together, and you don't want to rock the boat too much.
I agree with that. It has to make sense. You're not trading him just to trade him. But we want your thoughts. How attached are you to Kevin Herter? 916-339-1140 is the text line. The phone number is 1-800-920-1140. You can also check us out on YouTube, youtube.com, Sactown Sports 1140. We always love the comments in there. And make sure when you swing on by, give us that thumbs up. We'll get your reaction on the Kings and on Kevin Herter. Also in 90 seconds, we'll take a look at the Raiders' schedule and tell you the good, the bad, and the record.
Cattles
and Ramie.
Sactown Sports. It's the Carmichael Dave Show with Jason Ross.
Number one, I love dog agility. I just do. I love
Live and local in the afternoon.
They always keep you on edge.
Cattles
and Ramie
on Sactown Sports.
I love this stuff. Dwayne Baker. The Herter talk seems like radio fodder. Stir the pot. Look, we do 20 hours of radio, people, okay? You want me to break down the South Carolina softball game for you right now?
It's a good one. Auburn's up 2-1.
Yes.
Bottom of the sixth.
Bottom six.
One out.
Yep.
They got a runner on first.
Number 23 throws a fastball inside. Actually, in college, we always hung out. You know where he was? He was 3 doors down.
We're not allowed to give live accounts and descriptions, Nick.
Like, it's the off season. We talk about We talk about what could possibly happen.
Who doesn't do this just as a fan? Forget what we do for a living and the fact we have 20 hours to fill every week. Forget who doesn't do this as a fan? Who doesn't go into the offseason and talk about? I did this when I was 12. This is what I've been doing my whole life.
Yeah, I
Who doesn't do this?
I legitimately at like 11, 12 years old would sit at a computer and I would build a Boston Red Sox team, a Celtics team. And do all of the off-season moves. And
what was his name?
That's Dwayne.
Dwayne, are you even a fan, bro?
Here's my plan. JJ, I think we should try to get this passed by Brian, the new PD here. I think we should take, like, the people that try to, like, troll us in the YouTube chats with, like, somebody else was like, oh, this is a reach. Here's my plan. We're going to take, like, 2 of them, right? Well, like, we'll take Dwayne and we'll take somebody else. We'll give them a show. We'll get one show.
I have a better
idea. They can host in the afternoons. We'll give them 4 hours.
I have a better idea.
And we'll see what they can come up with for 4 hours.
Just give them 2 hours
That'll
of this
be
show.
Compelling, entertaining, informative.
Just give them 2 hours of this show one day
2
out of the
hours?
week. Yeah. To cut our 20 hours down to 18.
You know what?
You do 2 and see if you can hack it.
Fridays 4 to 6.
Love that journey for us.
There you go. There you go, Dwayne, and all the trollers and all the people that don't like what we're talking about.
Take 2 of these 20 hours off our hands. See if you can handle it.
Can't wait.
We'll see how that goes.
We got callers.
We'll see how it goes. We'll see how it goes. We'll see how that works out. Yeah. We talk about possibilities. That's what this job is. Don't know what to tell you. It's the off season.
Why aren't you doing that, Dwayne? That's my question to you. Why aren't you doing that right now with your friends?
Don't have a Kings game to break down. Sorry about it. Really sure.
You want us to do Mount Rushmore?
Yes, I know.
We can do Mount Rushmore.
He's on the phone. I know he's on the phone. That's fine. Not going to go to Dwayne. He's not hijacking the show.
Morons.
We're looking for a midday host. Apply.
Love you though, Dwayne. Thanks for listening.
Yeah, love you. But if you wanna control content on the brand, apply to the midday show. They're looking for a host. Maybe you can join Chris and company. It is just company. Maybe you could be part of the company. Let's go to TCG. I give Herter another year. He had instant chemistry with Domas, fits very well with this team. And look, that's why I'm not looking to move him. It's just the idea is when you're looking at this roster, if you want to upgrade and you're going to upgrade via a trade, the 2 guys that really make the most sense are Davion and Herter. Right? Yeah. That are signed. Like you're not going to. And this is the other issue because people want it both ways. People will be like, well, how can we upgrade? Well, we're telling you how you might be able to upgrade, right? You can't have it both ways and say, well, how can you upgrade? And then you want to keep everybody or say, oh, it's a reach to talk about somebody. Then, okay, we'll give you the list of free agents and that's it. There's more than one avenue to improve the team.
And I promise you this, Monty McNair is exploring all avenues and possibilities.
Yeah, exactly.
You're going to ask Monty McNair why he and his staff are having these discussions?
No, listen, it's a reach, Rami. Monty's reaching with trade conversations. How dare you? How dare you even bring it up?
Fodder.
RC's newest bag holder says Fox, Monk, Murray, Sabonis, and Christian Wood is my dream starting 5 next season. Christian Wood's a name that I've seen mentioned a couple of times in the chat. There's good and bad with Christian Wood. He's a guy who could give you some instant offense. He stretches the floor. He can block some shots, but he's not necessarily a really good defender. He's like a help defender. He can block every once in a while. Like I said, he can protect the rim every once in a while. He's not necessarily locking guys down. But, offensively, obviously he would fit with Domas because he stretches the floor. He's athletic. He's long. So I would not rule him out. But I want to get a little bit more toughness and defense if I can find it. Like I would love to find, again, a 3 or a 4, most likely a 4 because I think Keegan's a 3. But I'd love to find a 4 that stretches, but also gives you a little bit of toughness and defense. The perfect guy would be like not nowadays because, he's not the same shooter he used to be. But if you go back like 4 or 5 years ago to like PJ Tucker, Bobby Portis from Milwaukee, give me one of those. Like if you can find a Bobby Portis, give me one of those guys. A little bit of toughness, rebounds, physical, and can knock down a 3.
And a little crazy.
Slight crazy.
A little crazy. You got to bring a little crazy to the table.
Slight crazy.
Not bad crazy. Good crazy. Very different things.
Dwayne left the YouTube.
No.
Yeah.
Sorry, Dwayne.
Yep. It's a good run. It's a good run. We appreciate you, Dwayne. Let's take a look at the Raiders schedule quickly here for a few minutes here on Cattles Ramie, Sactown Sports.
That was mean.
So the good, Ramie, the good about this Raiders schedule. What stood out to you?
3 of 4 at home after the first 2 weeks, and the only trip in those 4 games, weeks 3 through 6, is a trip to the Los Angeles Chargers. Only 2 games. We talked about all the games in the Eastern time zone for the 49ers. Only 2 games in the Eastern time zone for the Raiders. Those are the 2 good tidbits that I pulled out of that schedule. There's more bad than good for me personally. I don't know about you.
You know, when you look at some of the good for Vegas, I say weeks 5 through 10, you got Green Bay, Jordan Love. We don't know what that team's going to look like. Home game against Green Bay, home game against the Patriots. You play at Chicago. Chicago should be better, but I think that's still a game that you can compete and maybe win. At Detroit, Detroit's not going to be as, quote unquote, easy as it used to be, but you can still compete against them. And then you got home games against the Giants and the Jets. Now, of course, Aaron Rodgers, but we'll see what Rodgers we get. Giants, I'm not in love with the Giants. They had a good season, good story. Brian Daboll did a terrific job. They still have Daniel Jones. So weeks 5 through 10, those 6 games, they give you a chance. They give you a chance. Also, I would say 4 of the last 6 games are in Vegas. You got 10 days off before the Christmas game at Kansas City, which is nice because you get that extra layoff. So that's some of the good. The bad.
Wait, you said 4 of the last 6 are at home, but you also have the Chiefs, the Vikings, the Chargers, and the Chiefs as 4 of those 6
right
as well.
But again, you got 10 days before that Christmas game at Kansas City. So I think that helps you a little bit. The bad, tough start, I think, of the season, especially when you have Jimmy G at quarterback. Like you're starting at Denver, that's a good defense. Then you're playing at Buffalo, good defense. You're playing Pittsburgh, good defense. You're playing at the Chargers, pretty good defense. So you're starting with some good defenses, which could be a pretty tough start for Jimmy G as he tries to get this offense going. And 3 of your first 4 games are on the road, 3 different time zones.
That's tough.
Yeah.
That's really tough. I didn't even factor that in. And I'm somebody who looks at those kickoff times because I think that matters, Nick, when we talk about guys' body clocks and their routines. Athletes are very routine-oriented individuals, man, and having a kickoff at 1:25, then 10 a.m., then 5:20, then 1:05, then 5:15, then 1:05, then 10 a.m., that'll mess with you, man. That would be like having this show at a different time every day. You know, like we're the morning show one day, we're the afternoon show, then we're the midday show. My brain is ready to do a radio show at 2 o'clock every day. That's how I'm programmed. If you move me, eventually I'd get used to it. But if it was just every day or every week, a different time, I can tell you that would mess with my game for sure.
I got him at 7 and 10.
Oh, really? You're, again,
I'm going 7 and 10.
Far more optimistic than I am.
Really?
4 and 13.
Wow.
Yeah.
4 and 13 for the Raiders, Ramie says. I mean,
They have the 10th hardest schedule. They have 2 road games to start.
How much better are they?
They're not.
Right now,
that's my thing. Is they're not. I don't think they are. I don't think they're a better football team than they were last year. And it's a tough schedule when you look at, like I said. And you're right, Nick. Who knows how this holds up? But based on last year's win percentages, they're in the upper third of most difficult schedules at 10th. And I don't think this is a very good football team. I got them at 4 and 13.
Look at you.
I know.
Just killing the spirit of every Raiders fan out there.
Sorry.
That's nasty.
JJ loves it.
But Ramie, they have an elite quarterback now.
Oh, that is true. I forgot about that.
Thank you.
Forgot they went out and got an elite quarterback.
Why you always lying?
All guests come to you from the Folsom Lake Honda hotline, by the way. Folsom Lake Honda is your one-stop Honda shop.
I feel bad about Dwayne.
Yeah? No, you don't.
Nick shunned him, huh? Didn't even want to let him get on.
Dwayne, if you're still listening, call us back.
Simone and Rami will take your call. Someone said, who was it? Let me see. Someone said, TCG said, I don't think Dwayne hit the thumbs up today.
I saw that.
If he did, he definitely took it back.
My response was, Dwayne, 4 thumbs down.
4 thumbs down.
4 thumbs down.
4 thumbs down.
There it is.
I don't like your content. All right, we break out the crystal ball with On the Record next.
Cattles
and Ramie.
Sactown Sports. It was an amazing season for the Sacramento Kings. The coach of the year.
for you on this Friday. We'll each have at least one or two predictions here. See if we can make it happen. By the way, Simone, she's still on the list, so I got to get to her soon enough.
You just made the list.
She gave me
Simone is.
Oh,
you warned me before the show. What'd you say? I was walking on shaky ground or something?
We're just gonna get to it right now.
Okay.
The Simone part.
Yeah.
So Simone's going to Vegas.
Yep.
When?
I don't know.
Oh,
November.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say this weekend.
6 months from now. 6 months from now. She's planning this out 6 months ahead. This is how excited she is.
Good planning.
You know what she's doing?
Huh.
I'm going. Do you want to say it, Nick? You want me to say it?
Yeah, you can say it.
I'm going to a housewives convention. It's called BravoCon. It's hosted by Andy Cohen, our Lord and Savior.
She's going.
And I'm
to
very
BravoCon.
excited.
She's going to BravoCon. Now look,
didn't you go to see?
Not a play thing.
Didn't you go to see one of the housewives here in Sacramento?
I did.
And
Sonia Morgan of JP Morgan. Have you ever heard of it?
And didn't you say it wasn't the greatest experience or show that
I
you've
think
ever?
that she took some shortcuts, some liberties.
But
Yeah.
you're gonna go and do this again.
Yes,
All
this
right.
is going to be hosted by the
I
Bravo
guess,
Cinematic Universe. It's going to be incredible.
Andy
Going
Cohen
with my
is there.
girls.
Yeah.
So I said,
He
I
knows what
said,
he's doing.
I was like, oh, so you're going to like a reality TV show convention?
Yeah.
I cannot possibly do the attitude that I received justice on this radio program.
There was a lot of tude.
It was so bad that after she gave me the toot, she looked at me and she said, oh, there's a little Friday attitude to that. She even recognized it in real time.
Should it not be referred to as a reality TV show convention? Is it more than that to you,
No,
Simone?
I just need to distinguish with Nick that he can't drag me for liking Housewives when he enjoys wrestling, which I enjoy
That's
wrestling
fair.
too, but like don't come for me.
I even said that. I said, well, you know what? I like pro wrestling, so.
Yeah, it's just very disparaging. I didn't like your tone.
And then she said, like, you know, I'm going to, like, you can't drag me or whatever. I said, I'm not going to be the one that drags you. If anybody on this show is going to drag somebody, it's Ramie.
Me?
But I get the bad rep.
No. Come on.
Dude, you are so pompous about some of your opinions with TV and food. It's awful.
My fridge reeked.
Like, you dismiss people so easily.
No.
Yes, you do.
That's a lie.
If it was you and Simone said she was going to some reality TV convention, you'd be like, oh, stupid, and walk out of the studio.
What a waste.
All right, let's get to on the record.
You spending money on that?
I do appreciate that.
Very much.
I do appreciate that Simone at least acknowledged that she gave me a bit much on the return. She was like, you know what? That felt a little bit harsh.
Hey, man, it's on the record. I'm keeping it 100.
All right, my first on the record. Jimmy Butler scores 35 or more points tonight against the Knicks.
How many or more?
35 or more.
Oh.
I would go 40, but KD bit me in my ass last week by scoring 39.
I'll say triple.
I agree. Triple.
I'll
is
say
where my
I'll
heart
say
is,
that's
too.
a triple.
Take a triple. Ramie, you're
Okay.
up.
I'll go Western Conference first. I'll come back around to the Eastern Conference with my next one. I'm going to say Warriors win the next two. Come back from down 3-1 and take this series.
I'll go triple. I don't feel like that's quite the home run.
I mean, when you consider that I'm not just predicting 2 straight wins, but 3 straight wins with the one
but
that they've
one
already
of the
got.
wins already happened, so
I
you
know,
know.
but the fact that they're gonna need to get 3 straight wins to do it is what I'm saying. The degree of difficulty on that is pretty high.
I mean, yeah, but they've done it.
I'd go triple.
All right,
Jay, why don't you take it?
triple J.
Yeah, it's triple. 3 in a row.
Triple. Okay.
Triple. All right.
I'll backdoor because that's kind of one of mine is. I'm saying tonight, one of the series will continue and one of them will be over with.
Ooh,
I love
like
that.
I'll go double.
Yeah, I mean, it's a
Get a
50
50-50
it's a
shot.
50-50
Fair.
proposition,
Fair.
so double is fair.
Double.
Yes.
Right off the wall.
All right, Simone.
All right. Kim Kardashian will be courtside tonight. And by the end of the summer, we will discover that she has been secretly dating Austin Reeves.
Wow, pick the player and everything.
No. I'll just do a Laker. I'll just do a Laker.
No, too late.
I'm redacting Austin
Too
Reeves.
late. Stand by the take. Too
I am
late.
redacting this from the record.
Nope. This ain't the
All right,
CIA
fine.
documents.
Austin.
We ain't redacted anything. You said Austin
Yeah, you
Reeves.
said
That's a home
Austin
run.
Reeves. That's a home run for sure.
Go big or go
Stand in
home.
my truth.
Yeah, that's pointing over the fence.
All
right
right.
there is what that is.
Now I think this is
Okay.
given the recent history here.
Let me hear it.
Jordan Poole will score 15 or more points tonight.
It's like Mike Kessler Edwards.
He's first of all, he's questionable.
Yeah.
Very silly.
Home run then.
That is yeah.
I'm going triple. I think Ramie, we're kind of both picking the Warriors to win. So
Yes.
to me, Jordan Poole's going to have to play well. So I'll go in the middle.
Triple is fair.
Yeah,
I think a triple is
got a
fair on
triple.
that.
I'll go triple.
All right. I'll take it. Ramie.
All right. Now you forbid us before the show today.
I'm getting ready to leave.
Don't you get?
I told you if you
I'm not
touch
gonna-
the 76er, if you touch Game 7 on Sunday, I'm leaving
I'm
the
not
studio.
going to touch Game 7 on Sunday. All right. I'm not going to touch Game 7 on
Simone
Sunday.
is so anxious in this
You
moment
told
right
us if we have any because we've been quote unquote jinxing you and your Celtics by making Celtics predictions, and on the record you said if any of us make a pick on
It
Game
makes me
7
feel
tonight,
uncomfortable.
you're going to walk out of the studio. I'm not. This isn't about Game 7 tonight. All right.
You're the worst.
The Miami Heat will beat the Boston Celtics in Game 1 of the Eastern Conference Finals.
You're such an awful human.
He's a sick puppy.
How long do you think he thought of that today when I said you can't do this?
Heat over Celtics in Game 1 of the Eastern Conference Finals.
You suck.
I got a triple.
A bunt single. Get out of here.
Yeah, no, give me a triple too.
Thank you.
We're agreeable.
Appreciate it.
It's all fun and game. And good, JJ.
I'm so happy with myself right now.
All right, I'm going long range right here. I'm talking about off the tee. I'm going to say John Fisher will, just like we saw Mr. Sterling, he will sell the Oakland A's.
That's a home run.
He will not be the owner.
Home run
of
for
Oakland.
A's
That's
fans.
a home run and a home run for A's fans. Yes.
It's a wishful thing. It's a wishful thing.
All right, Simone, wrap us up here. One last one.
This non-sports related. This is for all of my HBO honeys out there, my Secession honeys.
She went Kim Kardashian and now HBO honey.
Cousin Greg will inherit Waystar.
I've thought about that, Simone.
I don't know what you're talking about.
That would be a
That's too bad,
hilarious
but-
ending
yeah.
to that show.
What are we talking about?
If you think about it, he was the first scene of the show, throwing up into his own mascot
Succession.
head. So
Oh, so she's ruining Succession for me.
you were never gonna watch Secession
How do you know that I was never
because
going
it's
to
like
watch it?
many seasons long,
Oh God, binge watching.
and
isn't
you
a
have
thing.
a specific genre. I don't think this is your cup of tea.
What's my specific genre?
Like SWAT, and what else do you like?
NCIS?
Yeah,
Big
NCIS,
fan of
Chicago. It's not that kind of show.
Nick looks so insulted.
Do you watch any HBO shows? Let's go from there. Let's take a litmus test. No?
Do you watch any HBO shows?
Let's take a litmus test.
Man, you two today.
Let's have a little bit of litmus test.
Testing the water.
Litmus test.
That could be a drop.
Could have a little bit. Just a little.
It's a fair
Litmus.
question. Do you watch any HBO shows?
No.
Okay.
There you go.
I mean, she has a fair point then.
But I'm planning on getting there.
Okay.
No, you're not.
How do you know my intentions?
You're saving the HBO catalog for what date?
I have a lot of shows, and when we
Okay.
get to the summertime, I'm hopeful that I'll be able to watch Succession and the other show that's on Apple Plus, which is what the news show, whatever the hell it is. What, a morning or something like? What is it? Morning show.
A morning show?
Yeah.
I also am going to defend
Failed on that.
myself. The ambitiously titled Secession. I can't make a prediction about who's going to inherit things. That's so crazy. You're on Cattles and Ramie.
So you're saying Greg ends up being.
You know what's crazy?
My attitude.
Us bringing you out of this show.
Number one. That's why you number one,
A
baby.
decision I regret every day. About it.
No.
There you go, on the record.
We haven't graded. What is that, Rami? You got. I mean, you know.
Oh,
Oh,
that's
yeah,
that would be a home run.
Thank you.
Given the power structure on the show right now, if he ends up being the top dog, it would be a home run.
He's a silly character. Yeah.
He's ridiculous.
All right, coming up, an ugly exit for KD. And what's next for Phoenix?
Check out the Golf to Go Hour with Frank LaRosa every week on Sactown Sports. Get the latest on equipment, area courses, people who play the great game, and plenty of good conversations about golf. It's the Golf to Go Hour every week with Frank LaRosa on Sactown Sports. Golf to Go is brought to you by the Hagen Oaks Golf Super Shop, America's most awarded golf facility. Naturewood Home Furnishings, where it's all about choices and always about quality.
Sacramento weather is brought to you by Bonnie. I'm Mark Finan in the KCRA3 Weather Center. Skies will stay clear tonight, a very mild evening. By morning, our temperatures will only drop down into the upper 50s. Tomorrow, a very warm day. Look for highs in the mid to upper 90s. Get the latest forecast on the KCRA3 News and the KCRA3 app.
Plumbing, electrical, heating and air, everything that makes your home your home. With Bonnie, you sure got that covered. And right now, get your air conditioner tuned up for just $79. Originally $129. Bonnie.com.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. Is your check engine light on? The free Fix Finder service reads your check engine, ABS, and maintenance lights. It even sends a detailed report directly to your email. When you need to get back on the road, AutoZone's free Fix Finder service is here. Get the most complete free warning light report backed by technician-verified fixes. Only at AutoZone.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
See details at AutoZone.com.
The folks at M&S Auto know that inflation is tough on everybody. If you need an excellent, gently used car or truck, M&S has hundreds of vehicles on the lot on El Camino, just off the Cap City Freeway. M&S customers get great deals and they save thousands. Get a great deal now on super clean 4x4s, including Tacomas, Silverados, and Jeeps, and muscle cars, Challengers, Teslas, Mustangs, and even the occasional McLaren. M&S Auto, msautogroup.com. In business, everything your employees do impacts your brand, including what they wear. Cintas has high-performance workplace apparel for almost every job imaginable. From work shirts and pants, to polos and khakis, to Oxfords or T-shirts, these clothes move, breathe, and look great. Your team gets the styles they like, you convey the image you want. And Cintas service includes weekly laundry and delivery. To learn more, visit Cintas.com.
Oh, I'm ready!
And get ready for the workday.
Yeah, I'm so stressed. Our business is growing. We've got people all over now.
Ooma.
What is that? Meditation?
I'm recommending the Ooma cloud phone system with auto attendant and more than 50 features.
Ooma?
Yep, switching to Ooma is a cinch. Just $24.95 per month per user, plus taxes and fees.
Ooma.
Now you're feeling it. Find small business calm at ooma.com/radio. That's OOMA.com/radio.
Hey, it's Carmichael Dave. I want to talk to you about my friends at American Energy. We can all agree on one thing. Your time is important. That's why at American Energy Heat and Air, they make shopping for a new air conditioner easier with their new online quoting tool. Now, all you have to do, go to AmericanEnergyAir.com and get an instant quote today. It'll help you determine what system you'll need to get and provide those great pricing options they have, the best pricing options, all from the comforts of your home without having somebody coming to your house. Visit AmericanEnergyAir.com. Check out how easy it can be. Or if you want to give them a call and talk through what your specific needs are, call 916-520-9990. That's 916-520-9990. AmericanEnergyAir.com. American Energy, making the uncomfortable comfortable.
Call 916-520-9990 now.
Guys, did you know your testosterone affects everything in your system, including how you feel and perform every day? Right now, Revive Men's Health Sacramento will check your testosterone for free. Knowing your T levels is the first step in understanding if you have low T. Your testosterone level impacts your energy, libido, sleep, weight, hair loss, mood, and even ED. Maintaining an appropriate T level can change your whole life. Most men start to see changes in their hormone levels in their 30s. Experience and results matter. So what are you waiting for? Get your T levels checked today by local, experienced, and trusted men's health experts. They've helped thousands of men since 2011. They're so confident they can help you, they even guarantee it. Call Revive today and schedule your free testosterone test, free exam, and free consultation. Call Revive Men's Health at 916-277-8599. That's 916-277-8599. Or visit ReviveMen'sHealth.com.
with you 1 mile at a time during the afternoon drive. Cattles and Ramie.
Sactown Sports.
Before we get to Phoenix getting absolutely obliterated by the Nuggets last night, let's go to Mitch. Mitch has been very patient. We missed him yesterday. Hey, Mitch, what's up?
Hey, excuse me. How you guys doing?
Good.
Thanks for taking my call. Hey, I like the Kings trade Harrison Barnes, and they can get more from Mitchell. And you brought up with the Sixers. I mean, this coach, this is his third team that he underachieves big time. And Tobias Harris and the shooting I got, I forget his name.
Maxey.
But anyway, it's very just the one with the beard. The guy.
James Harden.
James Harden. It's so disappointing. They had that game, and I think Embiid shouldn't have gotten MVP. I think Jokic is carrying the team more because what's going on with Gordon and Michael Porter? I know I'm bringing up so much, but I think he's carrying the team. If Embiid was MVP deservedly, which he had a great year, he would have taken control. And I wish he had done so because I am sick of the Celtics.
It's a good point. It's a good point about Embiid, not your point about being sick of the Celtics. I don't appreciate that. Thanks for the phone call. I do appreciate you, my friend. But it is a good point where, we did lay the blame on Doc in the 76ers for not getting the ball to Embiid. Again, one touch in the final 4 minutes of last night's game. But you could argue, if you're Embiid, demand the ball. Give me the ball. No one's going to turn you down.
Mm-hmm.
You're the MVP.
Yep.
So good call by Mitch. Again, aside from the Celtics point. All right.
I thought it was a good point.
No CP3, no DeAndre Ayton. And man, look, the Suns losing last night, not a surprise, but the way they were humiliated, you got to be kidding me. Bobby Marks tweeted last night, last 2 elimination games at home, Phoenix has been outscored by a total of 60 points in the first half. You go back to last year, Dallas was up 57-27 at the half. Last night, Denver was up 81-51 at the half. Denver at the half, 66% effective field goal percentage. This is from Hardwood Paroxysm. 2 turnovers, 37% offensive rebound rate, 14 points on 5 of 6 shooting second chance. Their offensive rating at the half was 155.8. I mean, the Suns did not show up.
No.
Jokic,
for the second straight year, they did not show up.
Yeah, Jokic 32, 10, and 12. Another triple dub.
That dude, man.
Denver shot almost 54% from the floor. They were plus 12 on the glass. Cameron Payne was the best Suns player on the floor last night. He scored 31 points. Booker and KD combined 12 of 32 from the floor. And by the way, to make things even worse, to add insult to injury.
Remember games 3 and 4?
Yeah,
those
Booker,
two guys couldn't miss.
Booker shot almost 80% those 2 games. To make matters even worse, Ramie, post-game, Booker, no show. Exit interviews today with the media, no show. So Booker does not even show up to speak to the media.
It's been a rough time for him.
That is weak.
Bad Bunny took his girl, a limp bounce from the playoffs.
At least KD sat in front of the media last night and answered questions. Here was Durant, obviously disgusted.
Yeah, it sucked. It was a bad feeling. It was embarrassing. They came out and hit us in the mouth. We couldn't recover. You got to give them credit for being a disciplined team.
Sucked. Embarrassing. And now
there's no sugarcoating that, and I'm glad he didn't. You know what I mean?
By the way, if Dwayne wonders, South Carolina won.
Big win over Auburn.
So now you look at Phoenix. They're in an almost impossible spot. They traded 4 unprotected firsts. Bridges, Cameron Johnson. They traded 3 of their top 6 players for Durant. Now Durant turns 35 in September. CP3 is 38. His deal is partially guaranteed.
Man.
This team, what do you do?
You just got, player-wise, you just got to run it back. And that's why you might be, and a lot of people today are speculating, you might be looking at Monty Williams. And honestly, Nick, I wouldn't blame him if they did look at Monty Williams because of the way that they've exited the last 2 years and just laying down and dying. You know what I mean? To me, that comes back to coaching. When guys just aren't prepared and up for the moment. And that team, Nick, not being prepared and up for the moment, these are guys that have been there and done that. KD's got a ring. Devin Booker's been to the NBA Finals. These are guys that have been there and done that, and somehow the moment seemed too big for them, and they just laid down and died and lost by over combined 50 points in the last 2 elimination games that they've faced.
And you can't do what Booker did. You just can't.
I
know you're upset. And, after the game, look, I think you've got to talk to the media no matter what. After the game, you can somewhat say, well, he was emotional.
Yeah.
He didn't want to say anything that he didn't want to regret.
That's what I was just going to say.
But he didn't talk to the media today in exit interviews.
That was a little harder to explain.
Show up the next day and be like, hey, guys, look, I'm sorry I didn't talk to you. My emotions got the best of me. We obviously did not play up to the level that I thought we would and wanted us to. And then take responsibility and accountability like a true leader. But he leaves KD, who's been in Phoenix for 3 months? KD's got to answer all the questions and be the guy. That's Devin Booker's team. That's not KD's team. That's Booker's team. And for that dude to just no-show.
KD's still boys with Kyrie Irving, though. That ain't going to.
And here's the thing.
He's not going to disown Devin Booker because he skipped out on a press conference.
And here's the thing. If he's, if Booker played well, would he speak to the media?
Yeah.
He would. If they won, he would have absolutely spoken to the media. Give me a break with that.
By the way, there's a poll up at youtube.com/Sactown.
It's not the one that I wanted up. I wanted to see if we could vote Simone off.
What's the first HBO show Nick should watch? You haven't seen Sopranos? I thought we talked about The Sopranos.
I've not seen any of those shows.
Really? No. Sopranos, Succession, Game of Thrones.
Because I know how The Sopranos ends.
Sex and the City.
What's
you
the
do?
point?
Yeah.
Everybody did. When it happened, everybody was like, oh,
Sure.
black screen.
I think you'd still enjoy it. But I voted Sex and the City.
Not watching that.
Why not?
Why should
What's the problem? It's quality TV. What do you mean, why should you? Clever writing.
Yeah.
That's why.
I asked if we should vote Simone off the island. I did not get a great response on that.
I think Simone said, I am the island. I believe.
She did.
It's a game of chess, not checkers.
She indeed did. That woman. All right, Kyle Shanahan trying hard to sell his quarterback room to us, but are we buying? That's next.
Cattles and Ramie.
Sactown Sports. Sactown Sports is Sacramento's new home for the San Francisco 40. Your afternoon home for Kings talk and more
This is Cattles and Ramie.
on Sactown Sports.
Thanks for joining us. Third hour of the radio program. We appreciate you. He's Ramie. I'm Cattles on a Friday.
All right.
Ramie is going to Vegas this
that'll
weekend.
be me tomorrow, about noon.
So,
I am not confirming or denying that adult beverages were had.
mentally, Ramie is no longer here.
Oh,
with
that's
us.
not the case. Locked in, baby.
His body's here.
No, I sprint through the finish line.
Nothing else.
That's how I roll.
I hope you really enjoy Vegas. I have my doubts.
I think I will. What do you mean? Why?
I have my doubts.
Why would you have your doubts?
Because you told me that you were just going to lie by the pool.
I said one day. I want to spend a day.
Yeah, see,
laying by
you're
the
there for
pool.
like 2 days.
Yeah.
It's Vegas.
And then
You
go
don't
out
lie
at
by
night.
the pool in Vegas.
But then go out at night.
You go out all day and night.
Nah,
It's Vegas.
That's not me.
Simone,
Why can't my good time be different than your good time?
Ooh.
pass judgment on him like you'd pass judgment on me, Simone.
Of course. Ramie, you got to stay up. Look at those beautiful mountains when the sun rises. You're going to love it.
You want me to be up when the sun rises? I mean, if anything, I'd be
Yes.
up from the night before when the
It's
sun
Vegas.
rises.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
You
no,
don't
I'm
go to
not.
sleep.
I'm not going out. That's not the case.
You don't go to sleep. Don't go to sleep is what Nick is telling you.
I mean, that might happen. I'm sure there will be some late.
All right.
I'm sure there will be late nights.
I just want you and Emily to enjoy it.
I just want to spend a day by the pool, unwinding and relaxing, and
Wanna
not
make
worrying
sure.
about anything.
Just want to make sure you enjoy it. That's
Just a
all.
drink in hand and sun shining. And
Vegas is a very different, particular, unique place.
Is it both of your guys' first time?
yes,
Oh, wow.
going to Vegas. Just,
Really?
Lovely.
Just so we're clear.
Yeah, that's sorry.
Yes.
I could have said more.
All right, moving on. Let's get back to sports before we get in trouble. So the 49ers
So
quarterback
stupid.
room, one big fat unknown, right? The quarterback room to me is like, okay, look, Brock Purdy played well late last year. There's no doubt about that. Gave him all the credit in the world. You wished he stayed healthy. Maybe they beat the Eagles. Maybe they get to the Super Bowl. They write a movie about Purdy, all the good stuff we talked about. He was a great story last year. I'm not yet fully sold on this idea that Brock Purdy is going to be able to, be the guy. I need to see more from him. I need to see him, adjust to teams adjusting to him and all of that good stuff. He's coming back from a legitimate injury and surgery. So there's an unknown with Brock Purdy. Trey Lance is a big-time unknown. He's played, like a handful of games the last handful of years? You don't know what you're getting from Trey Lance. And Sam Darnold, if you look at his NFL career, he hasn't done much. Now, I know that the line of thinking from the Niners with Darnold, that they're really trying to push here the last week or two, if you haven't noticed, because all of a sudden everybody in the media is telling us how great Sam Darnold is. They're trying to tell you, like, hey, look, he wasn't given the best circumstances. He had to deal with different coaching staffs, and that's all true. It's all true. But the result is the result. He hasn't had a good NFL career, especially given what his resume was,
Right.
his pedigree, and where he was drafted. He hasn't been that guy. So to me, the Niners, they have question marks at quarterback. I don't think that's too, risque or outside the box when you think about it.
It's just off-season fodder.
That's right. But do not tell Kyle Shanahan that he has one big fat unknown quarterback room. Here's the coach.
I do believe we have three quarterbacks talent-wise who are all capable of being franchise-type quarterbacks, but that's just capable. There's so much more else to it. There's a lot of guys who've been capable. It's how do you play and how do you win games, and Brock's done that in his 8. And we have 2 other guys on the roster who we strongly believe can do it also.
So you might think, Ramie, that the Niners have some quarterback questions, but Kyle Shanahan is here to tell you that they have no questions, that they have not 1, not 2, but 3 guys who are capable of being franchise QB1s.
You and I had very different experiences growing up in terms of our life as football fans and the quarterback position. You have a lot of good feelings and memories,
yes,
about the quarterback that you grew up watching
Fair
for
to say.
at least half your life.
Fair to say.
I grew up a Bears fan.
Not great.
A franchise that has perfected breaking and ruining quarterbacks.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And just picking bad ones in general.
Fact.
You know what I mean? And so I can't tell you how many times I heard the old football cliche of if you have 2 quarterbacks,
oh, you don't have a
you
quarterback.
ain't got one.
That's right.
I can't tell you how many times I heard that.
Too many times.
When we came into camp wondering which scrub was the starter. You know what I mean? And they'd be trying to sell us on, no, they're not. They're both good. That's the problem. They're both good. And so that's why we can't
How do we
pick.
possibly pick
How
one?
can we pick one of these two very good quarterbacks is what they'd be trying to sell us.
Yeah.
When it was, Steve Walsh competing for the starting job. You know what I mean?
How dare you besmirch Steve Walsh?
What Kyle Shanahan is trying to convince you right now is that it's not a bad problem that they got at quarterback. It's a good problem.
Yeah.
We got
three guys.
We got three franchise quarterbacks.
And we signed Brandon Allen. By the way, he could be a franchise
He might be a
quarterback
franchise
down the road, too.
I'm sorry, but I'm just not buying it. I will say this. I'm convinced that there is a certain floor for Brock Purdy based on what I saw last year. And that floor is game manager.
Yes. With this team, yes.
The problem is I don't see a ceiling much higher than the floor when it comes to Brock Purdy.
I agree.
The other two guys have certainly been talked about as franchise-type talents.
Yes.
Neither of them has lived up to that.
Not even close.
Neither of them has lived up to that.
Not even close.
Sam Darnold has been given the opportunity to live up to that and hasn't. And Trey Lance, man, how can we possibly know what this guy even could have been, much less what he will be, given how little football he's actually played going all the way back to his college days. Forget about his time with the 49ers. He didn't play barely the last 2 years that he was in college. I'm sorry, I can't get on board with what Kyle Shanahan is saying.
Who can?
I don't know.
Who can?
A very optimistic 49ers fan.
If you get on board what Kyle Shanahan's trying to sell you on this, then you are just an unabashed, blind 49ers loyalist. And look, if that's who you are, hey man, you do you, right? If you're an unabashed, blinded 49ers fan who just is going to eat up everything Kyle Shanahan serves to you on the plate, then that's your deal. Cool. As Ramie says, he's not going to tell you how to fan. But if you are looking at this with any objectiveness, with any reality, the fact is they have a quarterback who was drafted as Mr. Irrelevant last year. Again, fantastic story, but I would agree with Ramie's assessment of the player from what we saw. Good game manager. If he's surrounded by weapons, if you got Christian McCaffrey and Debo and Ayuk and George Kittle and you got a top-notch defense, he can win games. He can win games for you. But it's a small sample size. Lance has proven nothing. Darnold has proven that he can make terrible decision after terrible decision. So I don't know who's buying this. My question is, what does overhyping these guys do for you? I understand Shanahan's trying to be the head coach, right? He's trying to build his guys up. But I don't understand. And the Niners have done this before. JJ knows that. The Niners love pumping tires. Nobody pumps tires better than Kyle Shanahan. Pump, 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 pump. He'd be pumping them like old school Reebok sneakers.
Pump, pump.
Loves
pump
pumping
it up.
them. And so I don't understand what you get out of overhyping the quarterback position.
I think that way, no matter who they land on, because I think at this point, Kyle Shanahan doesn't know who they'll land on. I do believe him when he says Brock Purdy will be the starter when he's healthy. I don't think he knows if Brock Purdy will be healthy for game one. And out of Trey Lance and Sam Darnold, I don't know if he knows who will start out of those two guys. So I think it's so that no matter who they land on, week one and beyond, that there isn't panic in the locker room, among Packers fans. And I mean, it's not going to happen, but to try and head off the questions about the quarterback position that he knows are coming. You know what I mean?
It's self-preservation. It's protecting, your decision-making. I think that's what it is as well, because the reality is they're taking a huge risk. It's the reality that, they can win, but as we've talked about before, they've got to win off of their defense. They've got to win off of their skill position players and their run game. They've taken the most crucial position in all of football, and they have taken some major risks at that position. And yes, they've gotten to the Super Bowl, but I'm sorry. There's one goal: win the damn thing. And if you continue to fall short of winning it because your quarterback wasn't good enough to step up in that spot, that's on you. And I think this is a defense mechanism of, hey, man, no, we're not taking these. All three of these guys are really good. All three of these guys are. How many of these guys would be starting in the league? Honestly, Darnold would not be starting anywhere else.
Nope.
Trey Lance, he was on a trade block.
But he might start for a team that, doesn't expect to win and hopes they hit the lottery ticket on a franchise quarterback. He's a guy who might get a starting job somewhere else.
Trey Lance was on the block.
Yes.
Nobody wanted him. Nobody wanted to give the Niners anything worth enough to trade the guy.
Yep.
So you've got one major unknown. You've got one guy who hasn't played well when he's been given chance after chance. And again, you've got Brock Purdy, good story. But Brock Purdy has to be on a particular team. He's not going to be able to walk onto a field with average talent around him or somewhat good talent around him and turn that team into a champion, at least from what we know. Now, of course, he could grow into the next Tom Brady, but as of right now, he's a guy that leans on the talent around him, and you're going to win through the defense and you're going to win through the skill position players. So I appreciate Shanahan trying to do the massive sell job. I do. But I don't know anybody who's actually buying what he's trying to sell here. That you don't have one, you don't have two, but you have three franchise caliber quarterbacks.
Do you agree that?
How in the world did San Francisco get three
really.
franchise? Everybody's looking for a franchise quarterback.
Starved league.
Shanahan and Lynch are so good they got three.
The 49ers found three franchise quarterbacks.
Amazing.
Isn't that something?
It's amazing work.
Wizardry. Does Brock Purdy have the lowest ceiling of the three? Is that a bigger discussion for another day?
I like Darnold coming out of college, but I'm just so down on Darnold because of his decision making.
Best thrower of the football ever that the 49ers have ever seen.
Again, I'm not hating on what Shanahan's trying to do here. He's trying to do good work, right? But it's obvious to me that the PR machine has been pumping extra hard the last couple weeks.
Yes.
They are trying to sell you on this idea that Sam Darnold's incredible. Trey Lance looks awesome. Trey Lance looks like the guy that we drafted. We moved up to get. Brock Purdy, don't worry about it. He's progressing. He's going to be as good as anybody week one.
He had a towel on the sideline that he was doing throwing motions.
Don't pay attention to this at all.
If they play with towels this year, watch out.
This is part of, I kind of agree with a lot of what you say, especially the pumping of the tires and everything when it comes to Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch. Both of them guys have done a great job over the last couple of years of doing that. I think my mechanism on it is this. I don't believe they know what they have. And for me, what both of you guys saying, like Brock Purdy, we know what Brock Purdy is and we know what Trey Lance is. I don't think we do. And I think that's that's your guys' opinion and perception. And of course, that's what you get paid for. But I think inside the locker room of San Francisco and the organization, I think this is their mechanism of we have, and they've been doing this for the last 3 or 4 years. We have a Super Bowl winning squad. And Nick, you attest to this, is we just don't know what we have in the quarterback position.
Yeah.
And they didn't know what they got from Jimmy G. I always thought that was kind of the question on the team. And you would see guys like George Kittle come to his rescue quite a bit. Like, oh, he's the greatest. He's the best. It's like, no, I just don't. I think it's so shaky that they're trying to make it, they're putting lipstick on the pig. And I think this year for me, we just really don't know what we have. And I think it's almost like a compensation is we have a squad. We know we can win a Super Bowl. We've been right there, Nick, and you said it. I'm with you. Unless we win a championship, it doesn't matter. But I think right now, more or less, is almost out of compensation of, almost out of fear. We don't even know what we have. We don't even know who's healthy. We don't even know what's going on. And so we're just going to say we have the we have good quarterbacks. No, we don't know what you have, to be honest.
TCG says, what should have Shanny said? It's simple. We're going to have a quarterback competition. All these guys have done some really good things in their past, but we're going to have a competition. And the best quarterback, the guy who plays the best, is going to win that competition. They're going to prove themselves on the field. Instead of trying to sell me on they're all franchise caliber quarterbacks. I mean, he did kind of, he did say they have the capability of it. That could be his out. But I'm just, this is the same guy. And again, I have no issue with it. I'm just calling it bull. He's trying to sell you. That's part of his job.
Yeah.
But he's the same guy that tried to sell you on Jimmy G when they traded up to draft Trey Lance. They
Can't trust him.
Yeah, they did that because they didn't believe in Jimmy G. And then they try to tell you, no, we believe in Jimmy. No, they're trying to sell you because that's part of their job.
Always look at what they're doing and not what they're saying.
All right, let's get to the Kings here. Kings fans seem to universally love one possible free agent. Do we? Give the answer in 90 seconds.
Cattles
and Ramie.
Sactown Sports. Are you ready to hear this on Sactown Sports?
Hand off McCaffrey. Touchdown! Send!
Sactown Sports.
All right, so as we look at this Kings off season and, try to cobble together some free agent lists and people are jumping into trade machines, the Kings, I think all of us agree, they need to improve. It's the whole point of an off season. You try to improve what you have and not be content, not be fat and happy with being the third seed this year. And I don't think anybody in that organization, I don't think anybody at Golden One, I don't think anybody over there at Doko is thinking we've accomplished everything we need to accomplish. Coach Brown has already said it. Monty's already said it. They're both on record. This is going to be tougher. We've got to, make sure that we understand the mission and do what we can do to build upon what we have had this season. That's the whole idea. And so as we're going through all these free agency lists and target lists and trade machine deals, we had Akis Sierra Costas on the show earlier this week from Kings Herald. And we asked Akis about, what this team needs. What do you believe the Kings need? What can they add? Maybe a name that he likes. And here's what Akis said.
You mentioned Josh Hart. He's probably my dream free agent signing for the Kings this year. I think he likes New York too much and being with his pal Brunson to come here, but he would be perfect because he provides that toughness, and also he's a phenomenal rebounder, as we saw when he played against us and had about 12 offensive rebounds or whatever it was.
All right. So Josh Hart, Are you in love with him as much as Akis Sierracostas?
I love it. We gave our wish list earlier this week, and he was a guy that was on my big board. I ended up going with Brooke Lopez and Pat Bev, but I was thinking Brooke Lopez for the starting lineup and Pat Bev off the bench because I didn't want to go too far with the realistic part. We took our big swings later. I thought one starter, one bench guy is a realistic offseason for an NBA team. But Josh Hart was a guy that I really thought about and looked strongly at, Nick, for the reasons that you just heard right there.
Yeah.
This guy brings exactly what this team needs. And you look at his numbers, and not a lot jumps off the page at you, but he's a great defender. He's a great rebounder, and I think he brings an attitude to a team. Nick, you saw the attitude of the New York Knicks change when they made that trade mid-season. We played that clip of him telling Tom Thibodeau, "Hey, I'll play 48 if I have to."
Yep.
We keep talking about it. He brings that dog to this team that they absolutely need.
All right, so I love the player. Love the player, tough. He brings a great spirit and energy. He rebounds, as Sierracostas mentioned. Really good rebounder for his position. He can knock down the three. He's a gritty defender.
There's that too. He's a three-point
He
shooter.
can handle the basketball a little bit and facilitate. Love the player. Here's the problem.
What's the problem, Nick?
When you're shopping for groceries, you've got to make sure.
Grocery shopping. Love it.
Oh, I know. Big fan.
Yes.
But when you're grocery shopping, right, you got to divide up the money to buy certain things, right? You got to make sure that you're JJ loved the whole I love shopping. You got to make sure that you're spending the right amount of money on what you absolutely need, right? Like there's disposable income. There's extra that you can spend on certain things that you might not need, but you know what? You're going to give a little bit more to bring that into the house. And, let's splurge on this steak. That's going to cost a little bit more.
I allow myself one salty treat and one sweet treat that weren't on the list. That's my rule when I go shopping.
Don't think I would have been able to finish this day without that information. But now that I have it, I feel like we've completed it.
I feel like that's a good rule of thumb.
So here's the thing. Like, what's the price? What's the price? Josh Hart has a $12.9 million player option, okay? $12.9 million player option. I would imagine he's going to opt out of that deal. He's not going to opt out of that deal unless he's going to get paid close or more to that.
Right.
So it's all about how you're separating your funds. It's all how much money are you putting in each position that you need. Like, is Josh Hart starting for this team if you bring him in? Probably not. Probably not. So if that's the case, unless you move Keegan to 4, but I think you can get a player that's better than Josh Hart to be in your starting lineup. I love Hart, but I love him as a 6th, 7th, 8th guy. I don't love him as part of the starting 5. The Knicks put him in the starting lineup, and things went off the rails in the playoff series. That's why they played Quentin Grimes 48 minutes the other night. He's a really good player. I love the player. He's really good to give you 20 minutes, 25 minutes. But if he's going to cost you 15, 16, 17 million, is it worth it? Is it worth bringing him in? He could help. But if you're going to spend that money on him, that's going to take money from other people you could bring in. That might be a bigger help to you. So that's the issue that I have.
Doesn't he make Davion more expendable, though, going back to the conversation we had earlier? If you bring in a Josh Hart and his defense, he can lock down their best guard.
He does. But again, he's a bench piece. So here's what I would say. If you could work out like a sign and trade deal or something, like free agency to me doesn't make sense with Josh Hart because you need to bring in 2 to 3 pieces. And if you're spending 15, 16 million on Josh Hart, that means you're spending less money on the other guys. Like, is it enough? Is it enough to bring in Vezenkov, Josh Hart, and a backup big? Is that enough?
So Vezenkov would what, be your starter?
Probably.
You're letting Harrison Barnes walk in this scenario?
If you re-sign Barnes, you're not getting Josh Hart.
Right, yeah.
So that to me is the problem. Like, in a vacuum, fantastic addition. In a vacuum, makes a ton of sense. In a vacuum, perfect for this team. I just want to know the price. If the price makes sense, then hell yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I'll drive across the country and pick up Hart in New York and drive back to bring him to the Kings. But what's the price? Can you work a sign and trade deal out? And do you want to move on from Davion? Is that also a part of the picture? If you are going to move on from Davion, then bringing Hart in makes a little bit more sense because maybe you peel off Davion with Rashawn Holmes' contract. Again, there's multiple ways to skin this cat. I just want to know the price. If it's straight up free agency and you're paying 15 to 18 million for Hart, I don't think he's a difference maker enough to pay him that much money, if that makes sense. I don't think he's gonna, if you got to go,
is it because you don't think he's worth the money or the pieces don't fit?
No, the pieces fit.
Okay.
Again, I think he's a great fit for the team.
So you're saying if you can make it work with the salary cap, signing Josh Hart, and whatever other moves might happen to move money around, then do it. Okay.
But
I get what you're saying.
Don't sacrifice talent at other spots that you probably need to bring Hart in, because Hart, again, he's a luxury item almost. Like he's a bench piece for you. So if paying Josh Hart is going to get in the way of you acquiring a starting 3 or 4, however you see Keegan or Domas, then you can't do it if he's going to cost you too much money. And he loves New York. And as Yeracostas said, his buddy Jalen Brunson's there. So you might have to overpay for Josh Hart. He might say, hey, look, I can get $15 million from New York. For me to leave New York, you got to pay me $18 million. At that point, it's like, look, I love you, man, but I love a lot of things in this world, but I find them to be too expensive. I ain't buying them.
Yeah.
So that's the question I have about Hart. But the fit, I love it. Love him. Love him. All right, coming up next, Lakers-Warriors, Game 6 tonight. We'll talk about it.
Cattles
and Ramie.
Sactown Sports. Catch the Oakland A's every weekend on Sactown. and more.
This is Cattles and Ramie
on Sactown Sports.
Pretty significant NFL trade just made. Zadarius Smith gets dealt from the Vikings and goes to the Cleveland Browns. Pass rusher.
Why is that on your timeline and not mine?
10 sacks last year. So Zadarius Smith, now a Cleveland Brown. And by the way,
what's happening to Twitter?
While we were away, TCG is going to read my mind. I was going to make a little bit of a joke here. While we were away, TCG and I officially took over the front office of the Kings.
Oh.
We are now
Was this a hostile takeover?
No.
Oh, okay.
Monty heard our plan and said, you know what? I should just step aside. Myself and TCG are now running this basketball team.
You just left me out in the cold, huh?
Ready for the plan? This is the plan for today.
I don't know that I care about your plan. You just left me out of all this.
We were talking about, well, you could have jumped in the chat. You're too busy with your thumbs over there on your phone. So here's what we got. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
You bring Hart in. You get Josh Hart.
Okay.
You get Vazenkov.
All right.
You back up big. You move on from HB and Davion. So here's what you got. Point guard, you got Fox, you got Monk, you got Hart. Hart's your third string point guard if you need him to do some ball handling, okay?
Right.
Shooting guard, TCG says roll with Hart at the shooting guard. Interesting. So if you go with Hart at the 2, your shooting guard is Hart, then Herter and Monk. That's your depth chart. Small forward, Herter. So you move Herter to the 3. So you got Fox, Hart, and Herter. And then you got Vazenkov. Then you got Keegan, and then you got Hart. Again, versatility. You can slide Keegan to the 3. You can slide Hart to the 3. Power forward, you got Keegan, Vazenkov, and Trey Lyles.
Oh, so we're bringing back Trey Lyles. All right.
And then
you're bringing back Trey Lyles. I'm not.
And
part
then
of your front office.
center, you got Domas. You draft Oscar Shibwe at number 24 from Kentucky. He's your backup big, and then your small ball 5 is Trey Lyles.
I like it.
Not bad, right?
I could have added a few thoughts to it where I included, but I like it.
TCG says, let's get this recorded and send it to Monty ASAP. Well, there you go.
Why didn't you send it to Monty? You guys have already usurped him.
It's now been spoken into existence, TCG. Voila. So that's plan. That's the plan as of May 12th. This plan will change roughly 35 times before the draft, but that's the plan as of right now for me and TCG. Positionless basketball. Bunch of versatile pieces, guys that could shoot. I like it. See that? Took us what, like 3 minutes? 3 minutes to do the offseason. Not bad.
I don't know why Monty makes it seem so hard. You
Like,
know what I mean?
why do we have to wait around? Let's just go.
They're like, I'm sure you could be a GM. Yeah. They just showed you how.
By the way, do we know who the dog picked for Golden State, LA tonight?
We do.
Who? So there's a dog.
Yes.
That on social media.
Yes.
That has picked Warriors Lakers.
He stands at the top of the stairs. Basketball is thrown to him. He bops it off his nose into a basket. And so far, he's 5 for 5.
He's 5 for 5.
He's 5 for 5. Yes. There's a Warriors basket. There's a Lakers basket. He bops it into a basket to pick his game. So far, he is 5 for 5. He picked Warriors game 1. He picked Lakers game 2. And then he picked Lakers. Or no, other way around. Lakers game 3 and 4. Picked the Warriors for 5. And he has the Warriors for game 6 and 7.
Oh.
He has the Warriors winning this whole thing.
So he not only went to game 6, he went to game 7 too.
Yes.
So he's got Warriors in 7.
Yes. And by the way, the internet has taken to calling him Steph Furry.
Okay. I like it.
Steph Furry?
Yeah.
Steph Furry.
We like it.
Yes, sir.
JJ was very angry this morning when he shared with us that he watched this dog for a full minute on
He
social
said,
media.
what am I doing with my life? That I'm wasting my
Got
time.
other things to do. I got a honey-do list. I got other things to do. I'm watching a dog for a minute shoot rubber balls in a hoop and a trash can.
JJ had a moment of reflection and was like, what am I doing? What is happening to me?
And what I tell you, Jay, that's working with Robbie Magloff. That's what you're doing.
Your life changes. No doubt about that. So game 6 tonight, Wiggins questionable. He has rib cartilage fracture. He has a rib cartilage fracture.
I've had that. Have you ever had that?
No.
It hurts?
So he's questionable, but I did see reports today saying that they're hopeful. They feel pretty good that he's going to at least try to give it a go. If you don't have Wiggins, I think you're in trouble.
Oh, huge trouble.
So Wiggins is questionable.
You'd be in trouble too, because you said 15 points for Wiggins on the record.
I said Jordan Poole.
Oh, my bad. Okay, yeah, that's right.
So which AD shows up, I think, is one of the questions we have going into tonight. Good AD, bad AD, great AD. We don't know. You'll have to watch. It's like it's a surprise. What AD do you get? Well, you don't know. Watch to find out. Can the Lakers solve the Warriors pick and roll? That's given them some issues, and that is directly also an AD thing. As we know, the Warriors have not been necessarily good on the road, but they have been better in the playoffs. Of course, unfortunately, they beat the Kings twice at the G1C, which sucked, but they're more apt to win on the road in the playoffs than they are in the regular season. And look, if the Warriors win tonight, they're winning this series. I do not think they lose Game 7 at Chase.
No.
On Sunday.
And Steph Curry will be right.
You just had to. You wanted to.
I wanted
to squeeze it in one more time.
It's a solid nickname. How many dogs in the Bay Area do you think are named Steph Furry?
I don't know how many before this moment, but now that dog has been named Steph Furry, I think it's going to be a
bunch of them. Yeah. It's a good dog name. You got to
It
admit,
is.
no matter how you feel about the Golden State Warriors or Steph Curry, that's a real good dog name.
It is. It's a very good dog. So we'll see. We'll see what happens tonight. Who do you think wins? Warriors win?
I got the Warriors. Yeah, I put it on the record. I think they win these next two.
JJ, Warriors or Lakers tonight?
I'll take the Warriors.
I'll lean Warriors too. I picked them to beat the Lakers in my pre-postseason prediction, so I'm gonna stick with that.
Oh, you did, didn't you?
Yeah, I'm gonna stick with Warriors over Lakers. Stick with that one, and we'll see. We'll see what happens. And I just hate the Lakers, so there's that. Is the GOAT actually about to own the Raiders? We'll have the latest for you next.
Cattles
and Ramie.
Sactown Sports. The King season might be over, but Sactown sports coverage never stops.
We, as a team, have a ways
while the other, we're still trying to figure that out.
Cattles and Ramie.
Sactown Sports.
All right, we'll get to the GOAT possibly owning the Raiders. There he is now. Wait, will you wait? Will you wait? We'll get to you. Let's first, though, go to TC. He's been patient with us on the phones. We appreciate it. What's up, TC?
Yo, what's up, Ramie, Cattles, JJ, Simone? How you guys doing?
Good.
Great. It's Friday.
Yeah, for sure. Just tapping in on the Niners. I don't trust Kyle neither, man. You know what I'm saying? I never did. You know what I'm saying? He got to show me. As far as like the quarterback situation, I'm not gonna really trust that dude until Lance grabbed it. Well, he grabbed the bull by the horns and run with it because he stole the show back. That's when I'm gonna be able to believe Kyle and see if he stick with this guy, even when Purdy comes back healthy. Besides that, like, I really don't trust that dude. Like JJ was saying earlier, like, you know what I mean? The most important position, these dudes keep lying about and flanking, and every like Niner fan is following this guy talking about he's like God. Like he never does anything wrong, and they still can't get that position right, bro. And it just Kyle has a lot to learn, bro. And a lot to do.
All right, TC, we appreciate you, man. Have a good weekend. Be well. JJ, how frustrated are a lot of Niners fans frustrated like you and TC, you think, about the quarterback position and how they've kind of pumped the tires? Are they tired of it, or do you think most are like kind of buying it?
I would probably say more people are buying it, at least from my opinion. I think the people who are being honest with themselves, like me and TC, just kind of over it. Like, man, look, go grab me somebody. Grab me someone that is stable, you know, even if it means that we have to go get the hated Aaron Rodgers or, you know, someone of that ilk. I can't stand Aaron Rodgers on the football field, not as a person because I don't know him. But as far as a player, I wouldn't. But if you're going to tell me sign him up for the 49ers, come on now. I'm going to go pick him up from the airport, whatever airport, San Jose, San Francisco, Oakland, Sacramento, whatever. But I would say probably more people are drinking the Kool-Aid, Nick. I think more people believe in Shanahan and John Lynch. Definitely Shanahan. You know, he's like the boy wonder, brother.
It is kind of frustrating because, like, if you just think about it, I mean, if you believe the reports, Shanahan wanted Brady, if you believe it. And he was shot down from that thought process, and they decided to roll with Jimmy G. Like, there are so many quarterbacks in the league that if you put on the Niners, I'm not going to say you definitely win a Super Bowl but your opportunity for that Super Bowl championship is at a different level. We talked about it last year through the season, like the margin for error of this football team. Like, you need to stay healthy, which hasn't always been the case, but you need this defense to be like, I mean, almost untouchable and healthy and play fantastic. You need Christian McCaffrey to be healthy and give you a big season. You need, you know, all of your skill position players to be good and be healthy. You can't swing and miss at right tackle with McKivitz. You got to hope that Trent Williams doesn't age out of the league quickly. So the margin for error, like JJ brought up, you know, Rodgers obviously is the extreme level, but you even feel like a Kirk Cousins, and I'm not a huge fan of Kirk Cousins, but even a guy like that.
They hope Brock Purdy
slow
can
down
be
now, Nick.
Kirk.
Slow down.
No, but Jay, they hope Brock Purdy can be Kirk Cousins. You know what I mean? When you look at his ceiling, that's what they're hoping for. And
yeah,
and we've heard multiple reports that Kyle Shanahan loves Kirk Cousins and thinks he'd be a perfect fit for his system. But I think that obviously, I'm not even going to say I think. If you caught Kyle Shanahan in a truly honest moment, and not to say that there's like friction or disagreement between him and John Lynch, because he understands the reality of roster construction and salary caps and everything else, but Kyle Shanahan would tell you in a heartbeat, yeah, I'd love to have a franchise quarterback. What NFL head coach would not want to have a franchise quarterback? I don't think that's his, like, he has some say in it, but I think your frustration with the way the quarterbacks have handled, the way the 49ers have handled the quarterback position the last few years, more lies with John Lynch than it does with Kyle Shanahan.
Probably right. Right. All right, let's get to the GOAT here. So reports out there saying that Tom Brady is in deep talks, quote unquote. That's from ESPN.
Come back for the Niners, Nick?
No.
Oh.
to own a piece.
Yeah, you got 49ers fans' hopes up transitioning from that to this.
I know.
Reports are sorry to the Niners fans out there. My bad.
They were deep talks. 49ers fans just drove off the road on I-80.
But there are reports that say Brady is in deep talks to own a piece of the Raiders. And imagine from the Tuck Rule moment to being an owner.
I hadn't even thought of that.
Is a wild, wild thing. Kind of crazy. But I don't have a ton on this. I would just say it would be a great move, I think, for Vegas. I do think bringing Brady in helps you in free agency. I think a move like that kind of helps you. It always helps to have Brady sitting in the meeting. You know what I mean? Like just to have somebody in that room like that instead of Dave Ziegler, Josh McDaniels, and Mark Davis's haircut. Like you've got Brady in there. It's a little different level of cachet.
Do we know what's going on with Mark Davis's hair?
We do.
Remember the bald picture we saw?
We do.
The Lex Luthor looking thing.
I tried to call him. He wouldn't take my calls.
All right.
But the reputation of the franchise also,
For sure.
I think, would be a good thing to bring Brady in. The only question I have is like how involved, right? Like he's going to buy a piece of the team. How involved is he truly going to be? You know, I don't think that he's playing this year because he was going to play in Miami or he was going to play back home in the California area.
Go ahead and say it, Nick.
He would have, if he was comfortable leaving his kids back in Miami or taking them with him, I think he would have absolutely said, I'll play for San Francisco.
Oh,
100%.
Yeah.
But so I don't know how much he's going to be around. I would imagine he'll fly out to the games and stuff, but I don't know how much he's going to be around, right? Is he going to be fully invested, not just money-wise, but time-wise and, personnel-wise?
I'd try to get him to we're going to give you a piece of the team. Come play for a year. Let's up the value of the team for a year and come put on a Raiders uniform. But Nick, this just occurred to me. Is this all still revenge for Tom? He can be Jimmy G's boss. Is it still about revenge for Tom Brady? That just dawned on me right now.
I think he's past that.
Okay.
I think he's past that.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
He won a couple of Super Bowls after that. I think
we've talked about how these guys, especially the greatest ones, sometimes have that sick competitive edge to them where they never let something go.
By the way, TC followed up his phone call, said, I think you guys misunderstood me. I'm a Lance guy all the way, and I want him to be the franchise guy if they put him in the best situation. I don't think we misunderstood you. You were frustrated with Kyle Shanahan. That came across clear. Now, maybe we thought you were a little bit more frustrated at the quarterback position than you are because you like Lance a lot. Look, I hope the best for Trey Lance. I've given up. If he proves me wrong, great. But he's been hurt so much. He hasn't played a lot in like 5 years. He's played, 5 games the last 4 years?
I kept this in my notes, Nick, because I feel like we need to remind 49ers fans of this. And I'm not saying don't believe in Trey Lance, but if you believe in him with this grain of salt. He hasn't finished 2 consecutive games within a season since 2019. From the end of North Dakota State's 2019 season to the start of the 2023 season, he had started 5 games total. That's folks, we're halfway to 2024. That's almost a 5-year stretch that we're talking about. That this guy has barely played football. There's a very good possibility that he had as high a ceiling as the 49ers sold him to have when he was drafted, but he might never reach that because of these setbacks and the rust that has set in. Yeah, barely playing football for 5 years.
That is not.
While trying to pick up the NFL.
That is not ideal. It's far from an ideal situation. By the way, I remind you, all guests come to you from the Folsom Lake Honda Hotline. Folsom Lake Honda, your one-stop Honda shop. 916-339-1140 is the text line. 1-800-920-1140 is the phone line. Don't forget YouTube, youtube.com, Sactown Sports 1140. Can we get to 50? I think we're 13 away.
Oh, we can do that.
Can we get to 50 likes on this Friday?
You see, this when it looks like this, it's down at the bottom of the screen. Thumbs up. Just clickety-click.
I certainly hope that we can. All right, coming up next, have we overlooked the NBA title favorite? And there's a lot riding on Sunday.
Cattles
and Ramie.
Sactown Sports. It's the Carmichael Dave Show with
Messi. They had Anthony Edwards and pretty much no one else that was showing up on a night in, night out basis in that series. And you beat Phoenix. Look, Phoenix, if you told me Phoenix would be out without CP3, I would have picked the Nuggets to win that series. If you told me they'd be without CP3 and DeAndre Ayton in Game 6, I'd say they'd probably lose that series.
I asked you yesterday, though, was DeAndre Ayton playing in that series before Game 6? Because I didn't see him very much.
Yeah, it brings up my next point, which is like, I don't think the Suns, we gave too much credit to the Suns to be able to put it together quickly. They're still trying to figure out who they are with KD. And, defensively, they were really, really bad. And look at what happened last year. Like, the last 2 elimination games in Phoenix now in the playoffs, they were down by 30 against Dallas last year at the half. They were down by 30 against Denver last night at the half. You do have to seriously question some of the TikTok on this team. And I'm not talking about, KD. KD has shown that he'll keep fighting, keep playing. But, he didn't have it going last night. So I don't want to go too nuts here. Jokic is legit, though, man. I mean, give the guy all the credit in the world.
You're still not there with the Nuggets?
No, I'm not saying
being
that.
Legitimately impressed?
No, they are a legit team. I'm just saying this. I'm saying I'm not. I wouldn't say that they're going to easily I don't know if they're going to win.
You haven't moved
Western Conference Finals.
This series hasn't moved you very far on the Nuggets.
No,
they're still who you thought they were.
I think that any team can come out of the West, like I said at the beginning of this thing.
That's fair.
So the 1 seed coming out of a wide open conference isn't that shocking if they come out of the conference. I mean, they were the 1 seed, and you mentioned, some of the apprehension was because Denver created that apprehension. They didn't play well enough. Post All-Star break, they were bad. They were a 500 team. Mike Malone called them out several times. I mean, so I think they're really good, and I think Jokic is obviously excellent, and they're a dangerous team. I haven't really changed my thought about the Nuggets off of these 2 series.
You make some good points. I'll admit they're a better team than I thought they were, but I think there's still the element of when the foot is on the gas pedal. And I wonder if they can keep the foot on the gas pedal for the entirety of a playoff run. That's the last question I have about Denver. I think when they're right and like I said, the foot is on the gas pedal, they are the best team in the Western Conference. I just don't know if the consistency is there yet that I can necessarily count on them to make it all the way through a playoff run.
All right. Meanwhile, Eastern Conference, Cattles and Ramie here on a Friday, Sactown Sports. Eastern Conference, quick update. Miami's getting beat down right now early. They're down 31-17. The Knicks are on a huge run. The Heat look like they don't want to be there. I don't know what's going on. But it is a massive mismatch through the first 7-8 minutes of this game so far. Miami's getting labeled at home. So we'll see if that continues. Still a lot of basketball left. And I never count out Jimmy Butler. But the other Eastern Conference series, as we know, is moving to a Game 7 on Sunday, Mother's Day. You get the 76ers, you get the Celtics, and the game itself is going to be fascinating, obviously. Game 7. A lot of people thought this series would go 6, if not 7. So it's not a surprise that we're at 7 here. But what I'm really focused on, Ramie, is not only this game coming up on Sunday, but what happens beyond this game. Because one of these 2 teams, I think whoever loses on Sunday, you're likely to see some significant change. I think if the Celtics lose on Sunday, they say, well, we got to do something. We got to tweak the core. We got to change something. It's not going to be Brown.
So keep running it back.
Not talking about Jaylen Brown, folks. I'm not talking about Jason Tatum. I think those 2 guys will be back. I think the Celtics would be crazy to trade either one of those guys. And I think the only way they do that is if one of those guys or both of those guys come up to them and say, we want out. So I'm not talking about Jaylen Brown. I'm talking about maybe Marcus Smart could be gone. Grant Williams could be gone. Joe Mazzulla could be on the hot seat. Bring in an experienced coach to coach alongside Mazzulla. There were rumors they were going to do that before the season. They never did. So there could be some change in Boston, and there could be some big-time change in Philly. We know all the rumors, Ramie. James Harden, Houston, it's been out there all year long. I would not be surprised whatsoever, especially if they lose on Sunday, if Harden does head back to the Rockets.
Whether it's Houston or somewhere else, I think that if they don't, especially if they don't get past this round, it might be championship or bust, or at least Eastern Conference championship or bust to bring back James Harden for the 76ers. Doc Rivers, I think, is somebody who's going to get looked at. You talked earlier about his struggles in playoff series and his history there post winning the title in Boston. Tobias Harris's status is up in the air. Joel Embiid will remain the centerpiece for the Philadelphia 76ers. If they don't at least get past this series, and like I said, maybe even past the Eastern Conference Finals, I think folks in Philadelphia probably are looking to shake things up.
Yeah, Harden could be gone. I would even say Harden's likely to be gone unless they make a run and win a title.
Mm-hmm.
They get to the finals, maybe he comes back. But if they lose on Sunday, I think he's gone. You mentioned, yes, Doc's history, losing series when they've been up, when his teams have been up. This would be another example of that if they lost this 3-2 lead and lost on Sunday. Tobias Harris is walking into the final year of his contract. Is he on the trade table? Is he somebody they're looking to get rid of? So, there could be a lot of changes coming up for one of these two teams. And so I think we're not just talking about the ramifications of this series and trying to get to the Eastern Conference Finals, but also the big picture, 30,000 feet, what this could mean for the loser moving forward the next 3, 4, 5 years. It could mean an awful lot. So it'll be fascinating to see what happens. Compelling game to watch. Maybe even more compelling to watch the reaction because of this game from whoever loses. But Philly and Boston, Game 7, by the way, on Sunday. If the Lakers win tonight, that's Game 7 between Philly and Boston will be 5 o'clock our time. If the Warriors win tonight, then the Game 7 for the Sixers and the Celtics would be at 12:30, I believe, at our time. So that's how it's going to shake out on Mother's Day. So there you go. There's the top story.
For all the moms out there.
For all you moms out there.
Who I'm sure want the whole family just gathered around the TV, taking in the NBA playoffs. That's what every mom wants on Sunday.
Gather it in and watch some good basketball. Should be a fantastic time. All right, did Draymond Green suddenly turn Ramie into a fan? Talk about that. Ramie will give you his answer in 90 seconds.
Cattles
and Ramie.
Sactown Sports. Check out the Golf to Go Hour with Frank LaRosa every week on Sactown Sports. Get the latest on equipment, area courses, people who play the great game, and plenty of good conversations about golf. It's the Golf to Go Hour every week with Frank LaRosa on Sactown Sports. Golf to Go is brought to you by the Hagen Oaks Golf Super Shop, America's most awarded golf facility. Naturewood Home Furnishings, where it's all about choices and always about quality.
Pain is not normal. Repeat, pain is not normal. Greetings, Sacramento. Doug Christie here with the Good Feet store. Does this sound familiar? It's the end of the workday, and the pain in your feet, knees, hips, or back is unrelenting. Good Feet understands that you've likely already tried assorted remedies and solutions with no relief. And now you're pretty much resigned to living with the pain. But do not give in to the pain. Instead, come to the Good Feet store for their end-to-end 3-step arch support system. Good Feet is the nation's largest manufacturer and retailer of personalized arch supports. With arch supports in over 300 sizes, styles, and flexibilities, and an arch support specialist in each store. Come in today for a free no-obligation arch support fitting, then take them for a test walk around the store or around the center. Experience the comfort, balance, and support possible with the Good Feet system. The Good Feet store in Sacramento, Roseville, Stockton, Modesto, and now in Vacaville. Online at goodfeet.com.
With you 1 mile at a time during the afternoon drive. Cattles and Ramie.
Sactown Sports.
Text line, some Kings for you, 916-339-1140. Not so sure giving up on Davion on the offensive end right now is the best idea. We were talking about how Davion and Herter are the most likely tradable players on this roster under contract right now.
If you're not an off-ball guard, it's hard to become an off-ball guard. We're not saying we're giving up on Davion completely as an offensive player, just that his role with this team, as long as De'Aaron Fox and Malik Monk are here, probably will not be the guy handing the ball. And I don't know that Davion Mitchell can be a very good offensive player not handling the ball.
Yeah, I think there's this misconception when you talk about trading a player in sports. a lot of times when you talk about that, listeners and fans, they will take out of that you don't like the player. That's not the case. It's not. Now, sometimes it's the case. You might, you could say, I can't stand that guy. I want to get rid of him. That's part of it at times. But it has to do about improving. It has to do about upgrading. It has to do about, fit on the team. It has to do about, I like Davion Mitchell. I like him a lot. I liked him coming out of college. I think he's a starting point guard in the NBA. It's not about that. It's about you trying to improve this team. You have a starting point guard. You have a guy who's all NBA at the point guard position. You have Malik Monk, who is that guy's bestie, who had a really good season as a playmaker coming off the bench. This is about the puzzle pieces, folks. It's not that Ramie and I don't like Davion Mitchell or don't like Kevin Huerter. It's you want to upgrade this team. And if you're going to upgrade the team, then that means you might have to trade somebody that you like because you're bringing back somebody that you like but might fit the team better. Tyrese Halliburton for Domas is the perfect example. Monty didn't trade Hallie because he didn't like Hallie. He drafted Hallie.
Right.
I'm sure Monty loves Halliburton. I love Halliburton. But the idea was that you had Fox and Davion and Halliburton. And at some point, and all the guys said this after it was done, at some point they knew one of them was going to be gone. One of them was going to be the odd man out. The reason why it was Halliburton was not because Monty wanted to trade Halliburton, didn't like him, didn't love him. It's because Halliburton had the most value. Halliburton was the guy that could bring you back Domas. That's why the trade was done. So, when you talk about trading players, it doesn't mean you don't like them. It just means there's more ways to solve the puzzle than, let's just go out there and sign somebody in free agency and et cetera, et cetera.
Right.
All right, moving forward here. Shaq and AD had a thing, right? AD gets hit in the head during that game the other night, and AD left the game in the fourth quarter. Then we found out that AD had to take a wheelchair from the tunnel to the locker room,
which some people found hilarious.
Yeah,
so funny.
We played it yesterday. TNT was cackling. They, Charles Barkley and Shaquille were cackling, having a hell of a time about it. Ernie Johnson and Kenny not so much, but Chuck and Shaq were having a heck of a time. And so Shaq apparently was asked about this at his comeback court, which is at the Shaquille O'Neal Boys and Girls Club of Henry County. I think it's near Atlanta. And here's what he had to say. This is what Shaq said about laughing, which many of us thought he was laughing at AD.
I said I wasn't sure.
That's why I said many of us.
Yeah.
Many of us. Ramie did not. He wasn't sure. I thought he was laughing at AD, and they were laughing at AD given how Ernie Johnson reacted and how Kenny reacted, because they were serious about it. And I thought if it was just, joking, ha-ha stuff, then Ernie would have been joking alongside them. But here's what Shaq said. It doesn't matter what we were laughing about. I'm laughing at Barkley. He's laughing at me. I'm not going to get into it. I ain't making fun of nobody. That's not what I do. But I do know you're not going to stop me from playing in that game 6. O'Neal added that he wouldn't let an injury keep him from a closeout game, which the Lakers were in Wednesday night and will be in again, obviously, tonight hosting the Warriors. O'Neal said, quote, "You see why I walk funny? Because I sucked it up. You see why my toes don't bend? Because I sucked it up." Now, we'll get to Draymond Green in a little bit here and whether or not if he turned Ramie into a fan. But this stuff from Shaq is just piling more ignorance on top of ignorance.
Okay, so you're not making light of it, but you're still saying that he's soft and you would have played through what he played through, which is not what people should be doing, man. This is what we've learned, Nick, with all the information and knowledge that we've gained about concussions and head injuries. This is what we've learned, which playing through it could potentially have long-term impact and ramifications on the way you live your life, on how long you live your life.
And look, people will say like, oh, well, your knees will have long-term ramifications and the toes have long-term look, there's a clear difference between a head injury and a knee injury or toe injury. For Shaq, and I'm a big fan of Shaq. I love Shaq.
Me too.
He's been one of my favorite athletes throughout my life.
Same.
Love the guy. But he's so off base here. You cannot equate head injury to knee injury or toe injury. Head injury could change your life. Your lights can go out. That's it. It's different. You might no longer be able to function cognitively if you have a head injury. Knee injury and toe injury, it's a physical injury. You could deal with it. Head's a different story.
People are out here committing suicide because of the head injuries they suffered in their playing careers and tried to play through, Nick. Like, we're not just talking about, so you have headaches. This is life and death when you're talking about head injuries.
Yeah.
People are out here laughing about it and saying, I would have played through that. I'm a tough guy. Cool, be a tough guy. And see how that works out for you later in life.
And I hate the, I played through stuff. Like, okay.
Cool.
Look, has AD had a history where he hasn't played a lot due to injury? Yes. Could he have played through some of the injuries? I don't know. I have no idea.
Right.
I'm not the man's body. I've said this before. I'm not going to pass judgment on a player who doesn't play if he's injured. I'm not dealing with the injury. I'm not dealing with what he's dealing with. I don't know the intensity of the pain. So I just think it's unfair to do that. And when you talk about head injury, it's even more unfair. So that was Shaq with the old I played through stuff. Draymond Green was on his podcast, and Draymond talked about the AD situation, and he talked about not only, what AD went through, but Draymond also addressed how people reacted to it, the TNT crew and others. And Draymond had plenty to say about this. And I think he handled it much differently than Shaq handled it. Here was Green on his pod.
Just don't play with those head injuries, man. They're serious. I saw a lot of people laughing and talk but it's a hit to the head. And one small hit to the head can change everything in your life. So I don't really understand the joke. I don't understand it at all. It's every time you step out on the basketball court, the football field, the hockey, on the ice, on the pitch, you're risking your life because one injury can change everything. We saw in not this past World Cup, but the World Cup before, Neymar have an injury to his back that almost paralyzed him. That was a couple centimeters away from paralyzing him. And so, I don't quite understand the laughing, why it's so funny that a guy gets hit in the head. The smallest hit to the wrong part of the head can change your life. So I don't really understand that.
Yeah, what is so funny? What is so funny?
Here's the other part of it too. When players, current players or former players don't look out for themselves or they don't stand up for each other, it doesn't help anything. Because the next time a guy gets hit in the head, and by the way, it's been reported that AD jumped on the wheelchair because he was dizzy, because he wasn't feeling right. Oh, just walk it off. Be tough. If we handle things like that, things are only going to get worse.
Right.
Have appreciation for the situation.
I said this yesterday, Nick. This type of stuff is why guys don't come forward with head injuries. When we hear about guys, they hit it from the trainer, they cheated the concussion test or whatever the case might be. Part of it is just competitive spirit, you know what I mean? And they want to get out there and play for their teammates and the fans and everything else. But also part of it is ego and pride, man. You don't want to be the joke. You don't want to be the laughing stock. You don't want to be the guy who's called soft because you were precautious about a head injury of all things. You know what I mean? This stuff is dangerous and reckless. It's not.
Is Shaq and Chuck going to, live AD's life for AD? Is Shaq and Chuck going to be able to heal AD if there's a serious head injury? And 10 years from now, he's forgetting things and all that other stuff.
Right.
Is Shaq and Chuck going to be able to help that situation out? It's not Shaq and Chuck's life. It was ignorant. It was ignorant.
Reckless. Yep.
And reckless. 100%. Embarrassing. All right, we'll talk 49ers with the callback next.
Cattles and Ramie.
Sactown Sports. Sactown Sports is Sacramento's new home for the San Francisco 49ers.
It feels awesome. We deserve this. Let's go, Niners!
Purdy.
Purdy going to throw, and it is Kittle in the back of the end zone.
Samuel.
Debo 10. Debo. Touchdown!
And McCaffrey.
Touchdown! CMC!
They all live here on Sactown Sports.
Your official home for 49ers football.
Hey, it's Nick Cattles from Cattles Ramie, and I'm reminding you that not all grills are created equal. Start your grilling season right with the amazing Napoleon Prestige line of outdoor cookers from Green Acres Nursery and Supply. My Napoleon Stainless Steel Pro Series gas grill, it's turning me into a pro. Napoleon grills, they have features that other grills just can't match. They're built different, built better, and they're built to last. I'm telling you, I might never want to cook indoors again. Just go to Napoleon.com for your nearby Napoleon Grills dealer. Napoleon Grills, now is the best time for the best selection of grills and fine accessories.
Family-owned Clark & Rush, celebrating 60 years of serving Sacramento. It's time to convert your gas water heater and furnace to electric. Just turn to the experts at Clark & Rush and Carrier. We electrify more homes than any other contractor in Sacramento. Plus, we'll help you get up to $6,500 in utility rebates. We'll even do the paperwork. Call or visit clark-rush.com.
Smart energy savings is what we do. Clark and Rush.
Call 916-245-2829.
Imagine getting ahead of your irritable bowel syndrome with constipation or IBS-C by treating it with Linzess. Then you could start proactively managing your constipation with belly pain and get ahead of your symptoms. Talk to your doctor about Linzess, linaclotide. Linzess is a prescription medicine that treats IBS-C in adults. It's not a laxative. It's a once-daily pill that helps you get ahead of your symptoms. It's proven to help you have more frequent and complete bowel movements and helps relieve overall abdominal symptoms, belly pain, discomfort, and bloating. These symptoms were studied in combination, not individually.
Do not give Linzess to children less than 2. It may harm them. Do not take Linzess if you have a bowel blockage. Get immediate help if you develop unusual or severe stomach pain, especially with bloody or black stools. The most common side effect is diarrhea, sometimes severe. If it's severe, stop taking Linzess and call your doctor right away. Other side effects include gas, stomach area pain, and swelling.
Imagine, what could relief from IBS-C mean for you? Talk to your doctor and say yes to Linzess. Learn more at linzess.com or call 1-800-LINZESS.
Hello, I'm Frank Crocker with Retirement Security Centers for the weekly economic update. While it has been cooler than expected, it's still getting hotter. This can be attributed to the temperature as well as inflation. The recent inflation readings have come in lower than expected at 4.9%. While down from last year, prices are still increasing. Rents are still increasing, as are used cars and wages, as the economy is still quickly replacing many of the jobs lost during the pandemic. Resilient job numbers have offset some of the bite of rising costs of consumer staples. The higher rates set by the Federal Reserve are designed to slow demand from spending on items such as mortgages and cars and reduce investment to grow businesses. Jobs reports in recent months have been revised lower by a total of 149,000 jobs, but have still been running hot, with jobs being added in bars and restaurants, hospitality and travel, and healthcare. Industries that usually see reductions in times of high rates, such as construction and manufacturing, have also experienced growth. Hiring is cooling and layoffs have increased, however, as bank woes may put the labor market on pause. How might this affect you or your family? Please go to frankontheradio.com to schedule an appointment, watch videos, and receive market updates. I'm ready to help you start your journey so you can define your future.
Frank Cockrell is a registered representative of Lincoln Financial Advisors Corporation, a broker-dealer member SIPC and registered investment advisor. Retirement Security Centers is not an affiliate of Lincoln Financial Advisors.
Quick Quack Car Wash is excited to announce Ceramic Duck, the stronger, shinier, luckier car wash experience that can only be found at Quick Quack. Their new Ceramic Duck car wash provides unparalleled protection from dirt, grime, rain, and UV rays while giving your car a noticeably deeper shine and smoother finish. With consistent use, you'll build a shine that will have you looking spectacular for days. Try the premium wash at 50% off by texting DUCK to 41284. So come on, experience Ceramic Duck today. You and your car will be glad you did.
Sactown Sports.
Headlines. Happy Friday, it's Simone with your Sactown Sports headlines. NFL schedule dropped yesterday, and of course, Sactown Sports is providing you with the best local comprehensive takes. As your new home for the San Francisco 49ers, keep it locked here all summer long as we preview the quest for 6.
San Francisco!
Last night in the NBA playoffs, Denver Nuggets able to eclipse the Suns in a supernova blowout, 125-100. Denver punches their ticket to the Western Conference Finals and await the victor of the Dubs-Lakers series. Speaking of those two California foes back in the crypt tonight, LeBron James and company still hold the 3-2 series lead. Tip-off at 7. And Thursday afternoon, Boston Celtics able to clap back in Philly with a humble 95-86 victory.
And it will come down to 48 minutes in Boston. It's over.
Game 7 on Sunday with a to-be-determined tip-off. Otherwise in the association, Knicks lacing up their Tims as they touch down in Miami for Game 6. The Heat lead that series 3-2 with tip-off slated for 4:30.
Thank God it's Friday.
I'm Simone. Those are your Sactown Sports headlines. Welcome back in to Cattles and Ramie.
I'm going to light up these phone lines.
The phone is ringing, and we are checking to see who's on the line.
Long-time listener, first-time caller.
News, gossip, a story.
Okay, who's the next victim?
It's the callback
on Cattles and Ramie.
Earlier today, talked some Niners with Eric Crocker, good friend of the program. Locked On 49ers podcast. He is also a former NFL cornerback, and of course, he joined us on the Folsom Lake Honda hotline. Folsom Lake Honda, your one-stop Honda shop. Can't forget about that. And let's start here. We asked Eric what he thinks the best part of the schedule is that came out last night.
I think having that Thursday night game and then having a long kind of layover into your next game, just kind of having that stretch there. So it's a home. You have a road game. You're coming off a road game in LA, which essentially, that's Levi South for the most part. So it's kind of like a home game. Then you have a home Thursday night game, which is cool. And then you have a long break into your next game. So I think that stretch right there is pretty cool. Kind of favors the 49ers to kind of get things going. And if they do happen to come off of a loss, they have a lot of time to get things going back on the right track.
It's all these little things, right? Like former NFL cornerback, he's looking at the travel days, the long layoffs. What is, perfect scenario kind of stuff for a football team, and he laid it out for you.
I told you, Nick, I used to think the NFL schedule release was just the NFL making something out of nothing because they're good at that. The NFL's really, really good at that.
They own that corner.
But then I worked with a couple of former NFL players for a long time, and working with them over the years, you realize these little intricacies of the schedule and how they affect wins and losses. They literally affect wins and losses and the course of a season and how a team will finish when you factor in all those little things you're talking about.
No doubt about it. Again, Eric Crocker with us here earlier in the program talking Niners. And Ramie asked him, does everyone have that Eagles game circled week 13?
I think everybody has a circle, right? Like, as of right now, we'll see how it plays out. There's a lot of time in between now and then. But going into the season, those are the two best teams in the NFC. And right now, the people look at the Philadelphia Eagles as the big dogs. So the 49ers, and one thing about them, and we'll kind of get into like maybe the early part of the schedule, but they have a tendency to kind of start slow a little bit, especially offensively. So they're typically hitting their stride, as long as, quarterbacks are healthy, but they're typically hitting their stride around, week 8 and on from there. So I think Kyle Shanahan's probably thinking, hey, when we're typically getting into our real groove, that's when we catch the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, we'll see what the weather is like in week 13. That's something that can be a little interesting down there, but the way the 49ers play football, the kind of brand and the style, it probably shouldn't be too much of an issue.
Here's what I love about this game being week 13. These teams should be fully aware of who they are by then.
Yes.
You're not going to be, it's early and who's the quarterback for the Niners. A lot of that stuff hopefully is figured out by week 13, and you will have both of these teams arguably playing their best football at that point in the season. So this should be a really good primer, Ramie. If these two teams face off again in the postseason, week 13 is going to tell us maybe how that game will go.
And he's right about the 49ers and them being a second-half team and finishing strong. That's a tough stretch of schedule right there, though, Nick, including the Eagles. And you talked about it. You go to the Seahawks, followed immediately by a visit to the Eagles, and then the Seahawks again. But if you look at it after that, Cardinals, Ravens, Commanders, Rams.
Yeah.
4 very winnable games to close out the schedule and feel good about yourself going into the playoffs.
If you take care of the beginning of the schedule the first month, you take care of the end of the schedule the last month, you could be looking at 8 wins out of those 8 games. And now really you just got to win, if you win 3 more, then you're pretty much in, I would think, at 11-6.
That's a division contender right there.
And I got them 12-5. I think, Ramie, what you said, 11-6?
11-6, yes, sir.
So 12-5, 11-6, and the over-under is 11.5.
So it makes sense.
We're hovering right around that puppy. Right. All right, finally, we asked Eric Crocker on the Folsom Lake Honda hotline about that quarterback room that Kyle Shanahan's trying to sell us on.
For Kyle Shanahan's sake, because his hair is turning gray, the hairline's going back a little bit. I think he's stressed out about this quarterback thing every single year. So for him, I hope it's one quarterback that starts and one quarterback that finishes. And if I had to guess who that quarterback is, I would say Brock Purdy. You kind of look at the way his rehabilitation is going right now. It sounds like everything is on track. He's on the field. I saw him on the field standing there with a helmet on. He's not throwing the football, but he's throwing, using the towel to work through his mechanics and his throwing motions. So he's definitely engaged with what's going on. So it feels like Brock Purdy, the guy that kind of is as John Lynch said, the leader in the clubhouse right now, has things going. Now, what can throw a wrench in that is Trey Lance. Kyle talked about it at the State of the Franchise, how Trey Lance has looked as good as he has been. He worked on his mechanics in the offseason, and he's ready to go. And that's what you would like to see, right, for a guy entering year 3 and having some time under his belt. He's had to go through a lot of adversity, and I really root for guys that have to, battle through adversity, battle through people counting them out. And I think Trey Lance is definitely being counted out right now by a lot of people. So, hey, man, show why you were the number 3 overall pick, having a immense amount of talent. Go out there and compete. And if it looks good, then it can start looking weird, especially come preseason when maybe Brock Purdy's not ready to get out there on the field yet. Trey Lance gets out there and if he throws some bombs, maybe people start to kind of say, well, wait a minute, we did put a lot of resources in this kid.
All right, look. I don't root for anybody to fail. I certainly hope Trey Lance succeeds. For JJ's sake, I would like to see Trey Lance succeed and become a franchise quarterback. I care about my guy. But here's what I'll say. We heard a lot of this stuff last year. We heard a lot of the new mechanics for Trey Lance. And, Trey Lance was looking better. And Shanahan was out there telling us how great he looked in workouts and this and that and everything else under the sun. And then the first game that Trey played last year, it was like he looked pretty much like Trey Lance a year before.
Yeah.
So he proceeded to run him up the middle 12 times.
Yeah, and then he ran him up the middle because he didn't trust him throwing the football. So,
treated him like Mike Allstott.
Once, okay, shame on me. Twice, or was it once shame on you, twice shame on me?
Fool me can't be fooled again.
Thank you. Yeah, got it. Thank you. So, when you listen to this stuff, it's like, I'm sorry, man. I got to see it to believe it. You try to sell me this bill of goods last year, and he looks like the same Trey Lance. I hope he's looking like a different Trey Lance. But until he does, sorry, Kyle. I'm not buying it.
Yeah, again, Nick, I went through it before. I'm not going to go through it again. Since 2019, this guy's barely played football.
Yeah.
He could have been, up until that point, on course, on track, on the timeline, however you want to put it, to be the GOAT. You know what I mean? That will stop anyone in their tracks barely playing football for 4.5, 5 years. That alters a career. We don't know if Trey Lance, if he was ever going to be that, can be the guy that the 49ers were telling us all he could be when they drafted him.
Yep.
It's a real question, man. It's really, really up in the air.
So there's your callback for today. Thanks to Eric Crocker, 49ers Locked On podcast, former NFL cornerback on the Folsom Lake Honda hotline. Folsom Lake Honda is your one-stop
people think
Honda
you should
shop.
Watch Game of Thrones.
Why are you jumping on the tag? Can you wait and let me finish the tag and then ask me the Game of Thrones question?
Finish the tag.
You've done radio for 18 years, right?
I try to keep it tight, though. I want to be right.
I'm sure Folsom Lake loves you.
I don't want the dead air. I want to be right on it.
Folsom Lake's a big fan of you just railroading things for the Game of Thrones.
You want to try it again?
Sure, go ahead.
No, I mean, you want to do the
read? No. Okay. Again, once shame on you, twice shame on me.
Because I was going to step on it again.
Of course you were.
Enjoy yourself.
You don't think I understand that?
The people think you should watch Game of Thrones.
Good.
YouTube
I'm
poll.
glad the people think I should watch Game.
What's that poll at? We got to see if Sex in the City is legal.
41% say Game of Thrones, 21% saying Sex in the City, 28% The Sopranos, and only 10% are saying Succession.
I know Joe Giroux jumped in to remind us something that we really did not need to be reminded, which was Sex and the City also had 2 movies.
They did.
They did.
So you could watch the entirety of the series followed by the 2 movies.
I could.
Yes, you could.
I also could,
Do you have any interest in Game of Thrones? I've never been a Game of Thrones guy.
I don't know.
Don't care.
What, it's all dragons and stuff.
It's all
you know,
dragons and
really pale lady, right? She pale.
There's a lot of pale people from what I've seen.
Back in the day.
That show. Yeah.
Lots of pale people back in the bunch of Knicks walking around.
Not a lot of sun in wherever it is that Game of Thrones takes place. I don't know where it takes place.
Hey, these people were smart. Stay away from the sun. It's not good for you.
People are very pale whenever and wherever that was.
Take vitamins. Don't worry about getting, your vitamins from the sun.
No, vitamin D from the sun is important.
Vitamin D.
Just in,
That vitamin D. I use vitamin D pills at home.
All right.
I do.
You're trying to bait me into something here. I've been in enough trouble lately, man. I'm going to Vegas tomorrow.
You might stay in Vegas if you go too far.
Not taking the bait. That's bait right there. That's what that is.
It is. I admit it. All right, but I do take vitamin D, Bill. I do. All right, what? I do. Little tiny guys.
You're still trying to bait me. I'm not taking it, man. I'm not taking it. All right.
You ever see the little Nature Made
There's
D3?
19 minutes left in the show.
It's a little Nature. Well, I'll
Let me
show
just
you.
go 19 minutes without getting in trouble,
These
man.
bad boys.
I know what vitamins look like, man.
Oh, you do?
You didn't have to show me.
That's it.
I know what vitamin D looks like.
Vitamin D. All right. We'll end the shenanigans next.
Cattles and Ramie.
Sactown Sports. Catch the Oakland A's every
Bam Adebayo with a good first half. He has 17 points.
A big swing.
Yeah, your big swing showing up. Heat are up 51-50. And Bam had 17. Jalen Brunson, by the way, he's a baller. He had 22 in the first half.
Wow.
That dude, he is a baller. All right, another news. So let's get to some stuff here. We got plenty of stuff to get to. And I'm gonna start today with my and other news.
All right.
And this is from the world of music, but you could also say it's from the world of fighting. So XXL magazine, Chris Brown and his crew reportedly fought Usher at his own 34th birthday party in Las Vegas.
Chris Brown and his crew.
Yes.
Fought Usher.
So
Okay.
Chris Brown was turning, Brown.
Yeah, Brown.
Yeah, Brown. He was turning 34. Brown. He was turning 34. And Usher threw him a birthday party. And the night ended with Chris Brown and his crew beating up Usher.
This guy's a jackass, man.
That's not quite the thank you I'm sure Usher was looking for, throwing a birthday party for the guy. Details are scarce, Ramie. But according to a report on Hollywood Unlocked, published on last Saturday, Chris Brown and his crew reportedly jumped Usher outside of Skate Rock City in Las Vegas. So it's like a skating rink. They had a birthday party.
I hear that's a thing again. Skating for adults.
For adults.
Yeah. Skating rink parties are a thing again.
Sure.
It's huge down south.
Right?
Definitely in LA for sure, too.
Yeah.
Okay. Not really my thing, but okay.
I'll go to a skating rink. That was
I go to a skating rink to listen to music and hang out, but not skate.
Oh, I'll skate. When I was a kid, skating rink was the place to be.
Yeah,
That'd
you
be
grew up in
nostalgic.
Chicago, dude.
Yeah.
It's probably all you could do in the winter.
It really is. Batting cage and skating rink. And they're right next to each other.
Oh,
Yeah.
let's have a party.
Hell yeah.
So this was happening at Skate Rock City in Las Vegas. And Breezy was at the venue for his surprise 34th birthday party organized and hosted by Usher himself. And according to a source, the celebrity-filled birthday party was going well until Chris Brown reportedly acted rudely towards singer-actress Teyana Taylor. No way.
No, Chris Brown disrespecting women?
No way.
What?
I'm shocked. The insider observed that Brown appeared to be visibly drunk when he started interacting with her. Few guests and Usher tried to intervene, but at some point, according to the source, Brown called the confession singer a coward and left the party. The drama escalated outside the venue onto Brown's bus when Usher confronted the singer about his behavior. The source told Hollywood Unlocked that a physical altercation occurred between the two men. Usher left the bus with a bloodied nose.
How you going to start stuff with Usher, dude?
So Usher throws you a birthday party.
Yes.
You get drunk and start acting like an idiot towards a woman.
Mm-hmm.
Usher tries to help you and get you away from the situation. You clap back at Usher, and then you end up fighting him on your tour bus or whatever the hell.
You
with
and your
crew.
boys.
Yeah, with
not
your crew.
one-on-one. You're you and your boys.
And this is
take down Usher.
I think you've said this before, like the whole canceled thing.
Yeah.
Who really truly gets canceled?
No one.
Chris Brown. Let's just, before we get to the next story, I just want to run down.
Oh, you saw this too?
I want to run down the
Please
sheet.
do.
Okay.
Yes.
Assaulted Rihanna, pictures and everything, 2009.
That should have been enough right there.
He angrily stormed off Good Morning America stage and shattered a dressing room window with a chair in 2011. He dressed as a terrorist for Halloween in 2012.
Hilarious.
He fought Drake at a nightclub in 2012. He punched Frank Ocean in 2013. He was arrested for felony assault in 2013. He kicked out of rehab for violent behavior in 2014. He assaulted a different woman, a Brazilian model, in 2016. He pointed a gun at a woman in his home, proceeded to get in a 9-hour standoff with police in 2016. He bought an illegal monkey, was permanently banned from owning primates in 2018.
I've wanted to buy an illegal monkey.
He was accused of rape in 2019.
Unsurprised.
He was accused of hitting a woman in 2021, and then he was accused of sexual assault in 2022.
Which leads me to say what I'm about to say, Nick. This is partly on Usher, man. This is partly on Usher, because how long are we going to entertain Chris Brown because he's talented? You know what I mean? How many strikes are we going to give this guy and keep throwing him parties and being his friend because he can sing and dance? What is this? What is it about Chris Brown that people just can't let it go? And then he left the party and Usher went to try and talk to him, of all things. Let him go, dude. Let him leave the party. Let him leave the whole scene. Let him go away and never be heard from again. Who is looking for Chris Brown at this point? I don't understand it. I don't understand the whole thing, man. And I don't ask violence of anybody. I will say this. Every time I've heard about Chris Brown fighting, it's either he's beating up a woman, it's him and his boys beating somebody up, or he's cheap shotting somebody. All I'm going to say is I'd like to see Chris Brown mix it up with somebody in his weight class and see what happens.
Yeah.
Because usually dudes who are going around doing what Chris Brown does, they can't really handle themselves when they run into somebody in their own weight class.
Love to see him in a UFC cage.
Would love to see that.
UFC octagon. Let's see it happen.
Would really, really like to see that.
All right, Rami, you got something for us.
Guy's a punk and a jackass, and it's enough. Cast him off. I got something much lighter. I got something much lighter. I love Bo Jackson growing up. You a big Bo Jackson guy growing up? I love Bo. He's one of my favorite athletes ever.
I'll never forget him climbing the wall.
I thought he wasn't human.
To rob the home run.
That was amazing. I didn't think he was human watching him growing up, but he is human. And he suffers. And right now, Bo Jackson is suffering with nearly a year-long bout with the hiccups.
What?
A year-long bout with the hiccups.
There's got to be a problem.
Yeah, there's some sort of physical or medical problem that leads to that. It's not, I don't want to say it's not uncommon, but it's something that
for a year, you're
almost
hiccuping.
a year. And he's and it affects your sleep. Like it's a real.
You know what Kelly had? Kelly had whooping cough.
Oh,
that is awful.
I've heard about that. So anyways, he said, I'm getting a medical procedure done at the end of this week. I think to try to remedy it. I'm busy at the hospital sitting up with the doctors poking me, shining lights down my throat, probing me every way they can to find out why I've got these hiccups. And he says he's tried everything. He's tried drinking water. He's tried to scare himself. He even said he smelled a porcupine's butt to try and get rid of the hiccups.
Never heard of that one.
Nasty. And the hiccups just won't go away. That's one I've never heard. How?
Yeah.
How do you sniff a porcupine's butt? Where do you find a porcupine?
You have to have somebody handle the porcupine
It's got
for
quills.
you, I would imagine.
You can't hold a porcupine.
Maybe it's in a box and it's got a little window.
There's
and
a
you
little-
hold it and you go up to the box and you sniff and then you get out.
I don't know. I've never heard this one. So I started Googling hiccups porcupine butt to see if I could find anything.
Wait, I don't even know. I don't even want to know where that led you to.
It led me to a medical journal, the National Medical Journal. And what I found was natural cures from the country of Myanmar.
Well, there you go.
One of the things they use to cure the hiccups is the porcupine flower.
So why not try the flower then?
I think it got lost in translation from Myanmar to Bo Jackson.
Bo's going to be very angry when he finds out that it was more porcupine flower than porcupine butt.
So if you got the hiccups out there, don't go sniffing porcupine butts.
Kelly gets rid of the hiccups by doing the backwards drinking water thing.
I've
Have you
seen that. Yeah, I have seen
she
that.
She ducks and it's really weird.
I can't do it.
It actually works.
I just dribble all over myself. I've tried it and I just dribble all.
What?
So you bend forward and you drink from the other side of the glass.
Yeah.
From the far side of the glass.
And it
See what I'm
works.
saying?
For some reason, it works.
I don't know.
Gymnastics? She was a gymnast, I think, when she was super young. Hey, enjoy Vegas.
Thank you, sir.
Don't get arrested.
I'll try not to.
Have a good time.
I'll do my best.
Thanks to Simone. Thanks to JJ. Great job, as always. Everybody have a great weekend. Enjoy yourself. Be good. Be safe. Be healthy. Back on Monday. Rami not back until Wednesday. I'm back Monday.
I'm going to miss you guys.
Till then, Cattles and Ramie, Sactown School.
We'll wipe her sawdust and detergent. Now hurry, go on to the altar. I know you ain't but remember what I taught you. Keep your heart.